Whoa, hello. Hi, everybody. It's time for the show to start. I decided to mess with my microphone right before the stream started, so now I'm like, oh no, it's moving. It doesn't like to stay in the place where I put it. Considering getting a different microphone stand. Although there's no point in getting a new microphone stand because I'm going to get a new desk here in like 3 months. So, hey, what's up, Mersh? Good to see you again. Anybody who's been missing the Sunday streams, I am so sorry. Obviously, I did Ye Old Renaissance Festival, and then last weekend I was like, this is a recovery weekend. This is a me recovery weekend. So, now we're back. Now we're back. Yeah, I know. This is what I'm saying is like I would like it's like I have it as tight as it will go back here. Oh, there I finally got it to tighten up more after like shimmying it around a bunch. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't like to stay where I put it, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, gonna be getting a new desk soon. This desk is not going to make it through a move, so I'm gonna throw it away. And then I'm gonna get a standing sitting desk. Did you curl your hair? No. I put it in a bun, and I kind of twist it in the bun, and then it kind of retains some of that shape for a while. So, yeah. I heard good things about Elgato's low-profile mic arm. All right, well, I'll open that up. Elgato low-profile mic arm. All right, I'll keep that open. This is a blue brand one that was given to me. Or did I buy this one? No, I think that this was given to me along with the microphone. It was given to me by a friend. What's up, Corbarian? Hello. Phoenix G, Sky High, Kenzie Page. Hello. Reverend Blood, sick name. Good choice. So hello to the YouTube chat there. And yeah. Hello, Kitty. Opposites. I just bought a big new desk, so it's nice to be able to attach my boom yeah, to it securely. Right. This is like also not very secure on here. So, yeah. Have to leave for a meeting. No worries, Mersh. Good to have you here anyway. Yeah, I know everybody's been really bummed out. The weekend streams are the ones that everybody really likes. So that's what we're here for. We're here for this. The weekend. And basically the plan is, so obviously I'm moving, and I'm going to be in a different time zone when I move. But I guess basically the plan from now on, or from now until things change, is like we're just going to resume doing twice a week streams. The plan is that the streams are not going to be, I'm not pulling content from the streams to then upload to the channel anymore. And that means that we're kind of more free to talk about different topics. Like if you guys have something that you want me to talk about that I wouldn't normally because it's not good for the channel, I have more availability to talk about those things. And I was thinking for a minute like, yo, I don't want to talk about politics anymore. But I think if we just talk about it on stream in an unstructured manner, then I'm totally fine still talking about like current events. I just don't want it to be like a requirement for me to feel like I absolutely have to. And then, yeah, because I talk about the stuff on the stream and I have to do it in a specific way because I'm recording it for the channel and then I have to go and edit it and it fucking sucks. So instead, we're going to have free-flowing content in the streams where sometimes I talk about stuff that I'm just kind of interested in, and other times we talk about current events. And then when I'm working during the week, that's going to be reading, writing, editing, all that kind of stuff. So I'm having a really interesting time with the scripted video from last week. Okay, first of all, hit the like button, please. If you haven't already, getting a lot of likes early in the show means that we get more viewers, which is always nice. So yeah, the idea here is doing scripted content. And then, it's weird because like once you upload something scripted, there is an intention for you to, like with the algorithm and how things work now, you really do need to try different thumbnails and titles. And they've kind of helped resolve this issue by giving you the ability to test thumbnails. Like when I upload a video, I have the option to put in 3 different options for thumbnails, and it will randomly show those to people, and then it will kind of show me which one is performing the best. But obviously all 3 of those thumbnails would need to correspond to the one title. So I do kind of wish that they had the ability to test different titles as well, but not a big deal. So the video from last week did pretty good. It's got about like 7,000 views, but it's starting to peak, and I would like to get more than 7,000 on it. So I'm thinking like, we've already hit the initial audience of people who are interested in like what's going on with ContraPoints and like, you know, that particular niche. So I was thinking maybe tomorrow I would try like a totally different set of title and thumbnail. I don't know. Anyway, this is stuff that y'all don't really care about that much. I'm just like, now the like, typically you upload the video and then it's kind of done, and you're like, okay, whatever, I uploaded it, and then maybe I'll reply to comments and that's it. But now there is like a continued, well, let me try this thumbnail, or let me try this over the course of the first week or so. Or you can even go back and change ones from years ago, and that sometimes will lead to an increase in views. It's super weird. If it doesn't mess up your mental health to talk about it, I like hearing your take on current events. Well, thank you. I'm glad. I think it's interesting. Apparently the trick is to pick a word to make all caps. Yeah, just pick one word, make it all caps. When you move, you should put together a workshop space and do project streams. Do you mean like crochet projects, or do you mean like streams where I talk about my writing? Or I don't know what the... What's up, Jiharion? Another inexpensive route is a kick drum mic stand, heavy base plate, but it will take up some desk space. Yeah, that is the convenient thing about this one, is I can just kind of move it and then it's out of the way. Wow, 40 viewers. We are going to talk about Kamala. I'm just going to warm up a little bit. You know, let my voice warm up, get acclimated. Would you make music? Not something I'm particularly interested in at this time. You just need to refresh the search terms based on what people are searching, especially if there is still relevance in the video. Yeah, like, I think that the video that I just uploaded, the end of YouTube politics or whatever, I think, yeah, at this point it has hit the leftist audience that it was probably going to hit. So now I'm thinking about broadening it and maybe putting, like, Jon Stewart in the thumbnail and maybe focusing in on that more broad, like, people getting tired of the election in general, maybe, as opposed to hitting that, like, what happened to ContraPoints and Lindsay Ellis? Where are they at? You know, it's just a different group. I don't know. It's interesting, though. Marketing. I was thinking you want to learn a bunch of new woodland skills, and after you get through the early phase, teaching your audience how to do that skill would be cool. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the intention with the video uploads on One Oasis Left. Like, that's the idea behind that. But I wasn't sure if I was ever going to stream that kind of content. I hadn't planned on it, but it is an interesting concept. Yo, I'm completely there with you, Gayfesh. I don't want to get into it right this second, but that exact quote is like the thing that I want to cry about today, basically. Like, I'm ready to go in. Which is part of why you will probably not see me on the Transatlantic Call-In show this week, because I am too critical of Kamala during a time where everybody's very concerned about making everybody fall in line to support the Dem candidate. To be clear, I'm going to vote for her. I'm just also really pissed off. Yeah. But aside from that, you know, obviously, I think that a lot of us, I don't know, it literally depends on how the election goes. I think that everybody's going to be very tense for these next couple weeks, which is part of why I'm checking out a little bit. I already filled out my ballot. I voted for her. Yeah, I was going to go early vote this week sometime, maybe next Saturday, just because I don't. I know that in some states they have mail in ballot as kind of like the default, but yeah, I like going in. I just like going in early. So I'm going to go in probably next Saturday or something. There's like a couple of things locally that I definitely want to vote on. I voted third party, and my sister gives me the bombastic side eye of judgment. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you live in a blue state that always goes like 70% blue, then I think you can vote third party and be kind of whatever. But like, even in states like Kansas, like with Kansas, the popular vote came out to support abortion. We have a Democratic governor. Like, I don't know that it has ever happened, but I could see a demographic switch happening where Kansas could be purple. And because it is statewide, like your vote for the electoral college is counted for the whole state. It's not like, oh, my county is going to go blue or go red, therefore I do or don't need to vote or whatever, right? It's by the whole state. So considering that like 2 years ago, Kansas, the whole state came out to vote in support of abortion, and that was a popular vote thing, and like that was even in a non-presidential vote year, and it was during the August primary. So it wasn't even like the November vote. You know, it makes me feel that it is probably worth it to see if coming out to vote for Kamala could nudge things. Because keep in mind, too, guys, a bunch of Republicans have died in the last 4 years. The last presidential election that we had was during the initial COVID lockdown. And since then, like Republicans have been refusing to get vaccinated. They've been doing the whole I'm going to go back to normal thing. And like a bunch of them were old anyway. So they're more vulnerable. So like we could be seeing a pretty significant demographic shift since the last presidential election. So I'm not sure how things are going to look. And I don't know if I trust like the polling. You know, maybe if you start looking at early voting data, that could, indicate something. But when it comes to those polls that are like, well, in this state, we're kind of seeing this generally this person's doing better in this state. Like obviously by polls, I mean like we're just asking people what they think and not like the polls where they have voted already. But yeah, I'm curious to see how things are different because of the demographic change. Yeah. Yeah, like the Democrats could win just because Trump supporters are less conscientious about COVID. Plenty of Democrat voters are not conscientious about COVID either, but like statistically, one side is more vaccinated than the other, and one side is trends older than the other, you know? Yeah, I'm also glad that they're not making us vote for Joe Biden again. I wasn't going to. I don't know if my mind would be changed by this point, but I was not planning on voting for Biden. Like I will vote for Kamala. I was not going to vote for Biden. Thankfully, my AIPAC is it? How do you is it IPAC? Or do you say it every time? AIPAC sponsored congressman has a pro-Palestinian Democratic challenger on the ballot, so I don't gotta vote for that bastard. You're right. Okay, yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, I basically do think that voting third party or abstaining from voting is like pretty bad, and it's annoying. People are like, "Oh my god, you're like this is what the uh, complete inability to engage in solidarity is on the left. Y'all are voting for Kamala because you want things to be okay for queer people here in the States, and you're not willing to sacrifice anything for the Palestinian cause. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be really difficult for me to advocate for Palestinians if so in Project 2025, they are like, trans people are porn, and porn is punishable by jail time. So if I'm in jail, it's going to be a lot more difficult for me to advocate for Palestinians. It's like, I just think people are so violently fucking stupid during election years, and I'm looking forward to it being over. if 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 Kamala wins, we're gonna have January 6th to Electric Boogaloo, and if Trump wins, we're going to have a legal takeover as opposed to an illegal takeover. So yeah, I mean, either way, again, I'm not excited. Here's the other thing too. I'm moving to a blue state because I feel that blue states are safe, relatively speaking. So if Trump wins, I don't want my blue state to get invaded by fucking Homeland Security or something, you know? Yeah, also the trans community is so small in numbers that it's not like we have the power to change anything. Like, if every trans person decided not to vote, I don't think it would make a difference. But, oh well. I got coffee today. Got the decaf coffee. 54 viewers. Can we get to 50 likes? There's more than enough of you in here that we could get to 50 likes. Okay. Oh, and also the donation goal for today. Here's the thing. So if we get to the donation goal today, we get to find out what's in the box. It's a chest, and I'm gonna open it. If we get to $200 in donations today, that's the secret. So, up to you. I'm still trying to move across the country, so any donation is appreciated. Put that back down on the floor. Box? No state will be blue if Trump gets in office. I mean, that's kind of the fear, you know, that that blue states might actually have to violently fight back. What's in the box? Thank you, Opsis, for the $50 dono. I haven't seen the movie that you're referencing, but I am pretty sure I know what the movie is. Yes, but thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's 1/4 of our goal. Oh, my goodness. Right away. Come back, chat. I miss you. Where'd you go? There you go. It seems so odd to me that the left, for whom their whole thing is systemic analysis, doesn't engage with our elections as if they are a product of our first-past-the-post system and what that empirically leads to. Yeah. I mean, I think people are really freaked out right now, and that, like, serious analysis is hard to come by when you're just, like, reacting in the moment to every new thing that's happening, which is part of why I'm stepping away from it a little bit. Like, obviously, I have a knee-jerk reaction, but I don't have to formalize that knee-jerk reaction in the same way. I could take the time, think about it, mull it over, kind of try to come at it just in a more calm manner, because I think that's part of the thing. And maybe this is like why the mental change that I've gone through has been sort of a benefit, is that I think that part of the urgency around elections is this feeling like we have to do something in order to change it. I have given up kind of on the idea that I personally am going to change anything. like, or that we collectively have the power to really change anything. You know, like we're headed on this trajectory with climate change and we're not going to come off of it. And that above all else is like that plus Palestine issue. I'm like, oh, this whole thing is designed in such a way that we can't actually change anything. So I don't feel that sense of urgency anymore because I'm like, I'm going to vote and I'm going to tell people that they should vote. And then I'm going to not really sweat it too much because I'm moving forward with the plan of like, it's going to go bad no matter what. So I'm going to just create my own sense of security. We did make it to 50 likes. Yes. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Continue smashing that like button. We appreciate it. You're still at least showing you're here, which does matter. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that like nothing any of us do matters like on any scale, but like if we're looking at the scale of, you know, all these disasters, all these things that are like huge foreign policy issues or whatever, like the machine is grinding and it's going to keep doing that. And it would require like a ton of pretty violent response to like make the system stop doing that. So governors will try to resist. I know Massachusetts has been very firm on that point, and I'm sure Washington will too. Yeah, that's kind of the hope, at least. And that's part of why I'm moving to the place that I'm moving, is that like I think that it's like not only a blue state, but there's also a culture of like, just because we're a blue state doesn't mean we don't have guns kind of thing. In a box. Thank you for the $50 dono. That's very sweet. I used to work at a box factory, but it folded. Wah wah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Look at that. All it took was me being like, what's in the box? What do you think is in the box? I will accept guesses since we still have half more of donations required. Such huge changes would require more small changes over time than any of us can really imagine. Yeah, right. I mean, if we're talking about like, just like, let's just pick one issue, and that one issue is Palestine. Like, okay, we have to do, well, like, we have to either completely arms embargo Israel, like, and then Israel does have its own independent system where they can continue manufacturing weaponry. Like, do we put boots on the ground and intercede directly? Like, do we support Lebanon in their resistance? Like, I don't really know. There's so many steps, and that's like one thing that still preserves capitalism and still preserves like the idea of countries and stuff. And then like, I don't know, if you look at another issue like ending all carbon emissions, like, okay, Jesus Christ, let's make new cars and let's put money into making more trains and let's create a society that is more localized. Like, now we have to rezone cities and put in walking infrastructure, and like, how are we gonna make it? Ooh, maybe I do have pretend crochet tiny pumpkins over here, and I did get a regular tiny pumpkin from the pumpkin patch, but it is in my kitchen. Tiny pumpkin in my kitchen. The next goal is to get to 69 likes, which it seems like we're not too far away. We could get there, and that would be LOL. Nice. Thank you for the good vibes. Even when you talk about sad things, it has good vibes. IDKY. Yeah, I mean, I think it's because I'm not hopeless, I guess. Like, it's interesting. I have given up on the idea that we can make change on a large scale, like when it comes to climate change in Palestine, for example. But that has made me optimistic about creating change on a smaller scale. Because I'm like, okay, well, what is something that I actually have control over? And I think if that is the message that you absorb here, that you can change things on a smaller scale, like you can improve your community, you can improve your local access to food and water, you can help people in your local area. I just think that that's going to end up being more valuable than, like, those are the things. When we say things like, okay, yes, I want you to vote, but I want you to do something else also. Like, voting is a once a year thing, or I guess maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Sometimes municipalities will vote on things in May, and there's usually the primaries in August. So you can vote like a couple times a year. But what are you doing the other 360 days of the year? Like, what are you doing with the rest of your time? You know, you have to be thinking on that local scale. Like, how, like, I want to volunteer at the homeless shelter, or I want to volunteer at the library, or I'm going to donate to the local library. Like, I have some old books and I want to see if the library needs them, or you can donate clothes to the homeless shelter and stuff. Like, there are things that you can be doing and that you should be doing other than just voting a couple times a year. Yeah, no, no, Byron, you're definitely not going to do that. The rest of the time we are chasing our corporate treadmill. No, I mean, yeah, and you have to work. Um, Obviously. I'm just saying that, like, you can do other things even if you're working. Like, obviously, I have, like, technically more free time because I can choose when and how I'm working, which is, like, one of the benefits of being kind of disabled, I guess. But people are also remarkably ignorant of what's going on electorally on a local level. A lot of homeless issues get resolved on that level. A lot of school stuff gets resolved at that level, as well as getting levs. I don't know if that's a typo or if that's just a word that I don't know. Getting things passed for community good, even some transit stuff. Yeah, you know, voting locally, voting on those, like, weird little niche things you can influence local tax stuff. Like, is the city going to implement a tax to improve the local jail or something, or improve conditions for homeless people, or, you know, crap like that? Like, I know people reflexively go like, oh, I don't want to raise taxes. Oh, levies. Oh, levies. Okay, I see what you mean. I've heard that word, but I hadn't seen it written out, which is the opposite of how it usually goes. Okay, levies, local taxes. Got it. But I mean, if, like, that's why liberal areas have a higher standard of living, is because there are higher taxes, which means that there are more public services. The public transit is more robust. The homeless shelters are actually funded, and the parks are nicer, and there are more parks, and trees get planted every year. You know, people bitch so much about taxes, and especially, but it's like local taxes. Like, yeah, I get it. I don't want to fund the US military with my taxes. It sucks that that's not optional. But local taxes make the community that I live in better. Like, maybe I want to go disc golfing. Like, maybe I want to go do something at like the nearby nature preserve where they have, like, those, you know, those, like, little campground things, but it's like a daytime campground gazebo thing where you can just, like, go grill on the, like, public outdoor grill. Like, I want to have access to those things, and I want the grass to be maintained, and I want the wildlife to be protected. I want there to be robust, like, hunting and fishing opportunities, and those are all public, and that's all local tax shit. I mean, actually, a lot of the funding for hunting and fishing infrastructure comes from hunting and fishing licenses. But Liz, we have not gotten into the Harris thing yet. We'll get into it in a little bit. I'm just kind of talking more broadly about politics in general, kind of regardless of whether Harris wins. I can literally see the difference when I pass township boundaries in my local areas. I can see which ones invest in the public good and which don't. Yeah, absolutely. I work for a landscaping and fine gardening company, so those are all well-to-do places. Yeah, so it could be like a place has like decent wealth, but maybe certain areas like which are implementing or not implementing the taxes. Maybe the houses look really nice, but then the local park is all shitty and like the swings are old and need replaced and everything, you know? I want to have places where families can go to be outdoors. I want to have places where I can go for a walk or a run and it feels safe. It's well lit. You know, there's not places for people to hide. The more we treat the homeless population, the less you're going to have random people outside, like, doing dangerous things, or, like, the more mental health stuff we invest in, the less. Because you have this image, right, of, like, oh, the kind of things that make neighborhoods unsafe are, like, vagrants and drug dealers and whatever. But it's like, and like, oh, these people are unstable. They're muttering to themselves. Like, this is the neoliberal idea of, like, I mean, I guess it's fairly conservative too, but like, oh, this is what ruins these neighborhoods. Like, okay, if you invest in some other things, those problems get solved. You know, more police doesn't solve the problem. More social workers might. Yes, it helps if your plan for homelessness is something other than just making sure you don't see them. Sometimes in these well-to-do neighborhoods, there aren't even any, there just are no sidewalks, no public parks, just malls and golf courses. Yeah, inspiring. What a great community. Why solve the underlying issues when you can just punish people? I've been seeing this comic recently that's uh, two characters talking about homelessness, and one of them's like, oh, you could house the homeless. And it's like, no, I want to punish them and put them in jail. It's like, okay, so you want to house the homeless, but in like the most expensive, resource intensive, and like least efficient way possible. Like, basically. Liberals love not seeing the homeless, and based on current trends in California, they also like them in prison for cheap labor. I have seen, yeah, I saw that. There was some ballot initiatives in California regarding um what was it? Yeah, it was like there was something on the ballot to eliminate prison labor, like involuntary prison labor basically. And I think it was looking like in the vote, and it's early voting obviously, so it's whatever, but it was kind of looking like they were going to vote that down. And it's interesting because if that law were to pass, if they were like, okay, we are eliminating involuntary labor for prisoners, and then somebody challenged that, like one of the prison systems challenged that, it actually wouldn't hold up under federal law. Like, the federal government or the SCOTUS could declare that that law is unconstitutional because according to, fuck, which one is it? Is it the fifth? No, it's not the fifth. Whichever amendment it is makes slavery illegal. It specifically says except as punishment for a crime. So for a state to say, like, we're not going to do slavery as punishment for a crime, it's like, technically that's not 13th. Thank you. It's technically not constitutional. It's hard for me to remember all these things. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Reflecting MLK's statements on the white moderate. in the UK, the homeless problem was solved overnight during lockdown. I seem to recall that, yeah, like during COVID lockdowns initially, like hotels and stuff were opening their doors to homeless people. It's like, what is the problem with that? I mean, it cuts into profits. The cat is screaming, so he might get picked up and forced to show up on the stream right now. Hey, Mitter. Wonder if I can get him to come over here. On the local level, Mersh says, I work behind the scenes a lot, and I get good intel from the local LGBTQIA plus community and civic organizations. For instance, I found out about a trans masculine student being harassed by a principal in a local school, and I had a smoking buddy on the school board that took care of the situation. Mersh, knowing your background, it's just very funny. Like, when you say something like they took care of the situation, it implies like some crazy shit. But I'm assuming you were just like, hey, this kid's being bullied and you need to like punish the principal by like threatening them with their having their job taken away or something. But that's the kind of thing though, is like making local connections, getting to know the people on your fucking school boards. Like, even if you don't have kids, y'all, knowing what's going on the school boards, like, because the people who are in school are going to eventually, I mean, they're already members of your community, but they're eventually going to be like autonomous members of your community. And you need them to know things. Like, you want people to be educated, and you want them to be, you want to have like a common understanding of history and current events. Yeah, I guess fair enough, Nuvenal. It's not explicitly illegal to remove slave labor from prisons, but I just imagine that the SCOTUS would go that way. Like, you have to leave it up to each individual prison to decide whether they're going to use prison labor or whatever, you know what I mean? I bought the guy some expensive cigars and the principal had a bad track record anyway. Also, one of the local attorneys is gay, etc. Nice. Yeah. See, that's the kind of shit. And like, I so appreciate that. Like, you have a hobby where you go smoke cigars and you go chill with some people, and it makes you like an integrated part of the community. People know who you are. People are like, I want to do favors for this person because I like them. You know, that's the kind of shit that can actually make a difference. And like, if there was a principal of a school harassing a teenager because they're trans, like, and if that principal like lost their job or if they were relocated or whatever, that like life is materially better for that trans kid. And those are the kind of things that I think that we should be focusing on. I think those are the kinds of things that we should care about beyond just, yeah, vote for Kamala because she's not fucking Trump. Like, the definition of a single issue voter is voting for Kamala because she's not Trump. Like, basically. And it sucks that that's the situation that we're in, but it is the situation that we're in. So, womp. 75 viewers. I'm trying to get to 69 likes, you guys. Can we get to 69 likes? I would appreciate it very much. Katie Tick has provided us with the MLK quote. I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that it's like, do we say that word? I don't want to get canceled for something stupid, but it's like an MLK quote. That the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Yeah. I guess usually you don't get the part in the second message that you sent, like I agree with the goal you seek. Typically, I just see the quote ends after like the positive piece, which is the presence of justice. Good to read the whole thing. IIRC President Sunday got attacked by disingenuous people saying he said the N-word on stream for reading that quote. Yeah. It's like, it's not the N-word, but it is close enough to the N-word that it's uncomfortable. It's like, is this going to be an issue? I don't know. Obsis says, the things people have done for me that have been the most positively impactful to my well-being have been remarkably small in this game of things. Never underestimate the interpersonal weight your kindness can have. Yeah, for sure. I sucked it up and voted Kamala. There you go. Padfoot Sam. Yeah, I agree. It's insane how relevant it still is. Like a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, although, hey, we hit 69 likes. Yes, nice. But yeah, sometimes I'll see political cartoons from 70 years ago. And it's like it's one where it's like there's a weight on top of the working class, and it's like rent, low wages, blah blah blah, and it's like some guy in a Monopoly hat and monocle is like standing on it, and it's like big banks, you know, still relevant even though those comics are very very old. Yummy yummy, delicious. And for anybody who's just coming in, if you haven't seen it already, for today's stream goal, if we get to the stream goal, which is $200, and we're halfway there already, I will show you what's in the box. What's in there? It's a dusty old box chest thing with like this fun little latch on it. Ooh, what's in there? I wonder. Oh, what's in there? Oh, what's in there? Oh, no. We're trying some new things. Come on. Brad Pitt. Mm-hmm. If it's a severed head, I'm going to be very upset. Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that that's what it is. Let's look and see what you all put in the stream recommendations channel. I want to see what you all put in there. I think a couple of these things were like really lengthy, and so I'm like, I'm not going to watch an entire Al Jazeera documentary that's more than an hour long about like Zionism, basically. This one was a 5-minute video. We could watch a 5-minute video. Yeah. If you guys post like a really, really long video in the stream recs, I'm probably not going to cover it on stream. But there's at least one shorter thing. It's a pet mimic. Ooh, it could be a pet mimic. Oh, that would be fun. I don't think this one is a mimic. It lets me put stuff inside of it without eating me. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it is not a mimic. But it might be. But all the donations stack up. If you donate $5, that's still going to get us closer to showing you what's in the box. What's in the box? Good gracious. Okay. So I do want to continue covering stuff that you all put in the StreamRex channel, though. It's a trained pet mimic. Oh, yeah. Maybe it's just decided that it likes me. What's in the box? Thank you, Turtle Bird Me. Yeah. Appreciate that. $107.77. Wow. Super chats are fine. Oh, by the way, also, I don't really mention it very often, but I did just open up channel memberships. So on the channel memberships, I think I just set up one tier. It's $5 a month. You get a lot of the same stuff that the Patreon gets. You also get a colored name in the chat, and you get access to cool emojis in the chat on YouTube. So if you want to be my first channel member, now is the time for it. Is it a little miniature replica of a city? Maybe. Could be. Or a mini theme park. Also an option. It's a mimic with long-term plans. White collar mimic is going to steal your 401k. True. That's fun. So I guess I do want to just watch this little 5-minute video that someone put in the stream recommendations channel in the Discord. If you want to suggest topics that I cover on stream, you can go to the Discord and check up in there and see what that's all about. Okay. This is going to play out loud. Okay, let me just get let's see what the volume situation is like here.
Candidate from the state of Minnesota by the name of Royce White, former NBA player.
Okay, that's probably loud enough. So apparently a Republican candidate says the bad guys won World War II. So we're just going to kind of react to this real fast.
A Republican Senate candidate from the state of Minnesota by the name of Royce White, former NBA player, posted on social media, granted all the way back in 2022, so 2 years ago.
Wait, hold on. This is someone else covering this. It dawned on me today. The bad guys won in World War II. There were no good guys in that war. The controlling interests had a jump ball. If you look closely, you can see the link between liberalism and communism and the Allied forces. Remember what General Patton said and why they capped him. That's pretty impressive. I think this video... Guys, I usually don't watch other people reacting to the news. I prefer to just check the screenshots myself and then react myself. By bad guys, I mean those who benefited from World War II without fighting in it. People who funded the wars, gained political power or institutional prominence, he said. I'm talking about entities like the United Nations, which I'm not the first to criticize, and organizations like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The crony capitalism that spread globally after the war. Yes, they won World War II. I mean, I guess I don't... Hold on. I was like, are there any other quotes? Hey! Thank you, Dr. Foxy, for the $5 dono. That's very generous. Thank you. Thank you for being awesome. If you're doing the content machine work, the box will contain the $400 donation box that might have something in it. Yeah. I do have a smaller box that that's also very cute that I could put inside the other box. No, I wouldn't do that to you though. There would be at least one cool thing in the box and then the tiny box, which is the increased dono goal. But anyway, I think this is obviously like a cope. The idea that there were no good guys in that war. Like, obviously I think that Americans, like, I think that the country America has problems, you know, and that, like, the U.S. government as an entity has issues. But if the goal was to, like, get Nazi Germany to stop doing the things that it was doing, I feel like that is a good guy thing to do, even if I have other criticisms. So it's interesting to do the take of, like, there were no good guys in that war. Like, the people who really won were the bankers funding the war. Like, I don't know. I think that's really dumb. So thanks for posting that in the Stream Rex channel. I don't know that I have a lot else to say. It's like, the bad guys won. Either this dude is a Republican who doesn't realize liberalism includes a lot of conservatism, press F to doubt, or he's just a fascist upset that liberals beat his fascist granddaddies. That's kind of how it comes across to me. It does come across to me as though he's just like, I wish that Hitler had won the war. You know what I mean? Thank you again, Dr. Foxy. Or sorry, no, that was in a box. Why is it not showing up? Okay, there it is. Finally, it showed up. In a box says, not gonna lie, I'm a little obsessed with boxes. I hope there's a calculator in there with a $6.73 dono. Thank you. That brings us up to 119.50. You guys are doing weird dono amounts today. I'll take it though. Thank you, thank you. They does seem to mean the Jews. Right. Yeah, because for him to be like, I'm saying that the bad guys won the war, and then I'm elaborating by saying, yeah, it was the World Bank, financial institutions. Like, that is a pretty major, I don't even know if it counts as a dog whistle anymore. It's just a very obvious anti-Semitic trope that comes out in the form of a dog whistle. So it's like, you're basically saying like, yeah, the Jews and their capitalism won World War II. Like, okay. Anyway, very silly. Very silly, silly, silly. I'm in the middle of watching Philosophy Tube's new video. I need to finish watching it after the stream. And then after the stream, I'm also going to watch Captain America, The First Avenger, because may or may not be starting a new podcast, or at least invited to be on the first episodes of a new podcast. Perhaps. But anyway, yeah, we only need about $80 more, and then we can see what's in the box. It is a dog whistle, but we all got better at hearing it, right? Yeah. It's like, I guess in the sense that it is a signal, like a non-obvious signal being used, it is still a dog whistle, but it's like, we all know what anti-Semitic tropes are about, okay? We know. We got it. And I haven't been like retweeting stuff for me to respond to on stream because I was kind of like wanting to stop doing that, but I might get into it again. Yes, YouTube takes about 30% of the money when you do YouTube memberships. But it's, sometimes people are going to give money through YouTube and not click through to the website, so it's still good to have the option at least. Yeah, the one way you could say that the bad guys won World War II is because the U.S. is the Fire Nation, but we were trying to stop a new, worse Fire Nation from arising. Fair. But yeah, that is in a box that YouTube takes 30% of donations, whether they're channel memberships or super chats or super thanks or all those. YouTube takes a cut. And so, obviously some people are like, oh, I'd rather you get all the money. And I'm like, yeah, I preferred that for a long time too, which is why I actually I used to have channel memberships and then I turned them off. But then I was like, I think I'm just losing out on income. Yeah, YouTube doesn't already make enough money. And it's fun too, if you have a channel like my second channel, One Oasis Left, does not have enough watch time yet to be in the YouTube partner program, but they still put ads on those videos. So like they will put ads on my videos and I can't control where they put the ads or how long they are or like anything. So my content is being monetized in a way that could be really annoying to my audience, but I am not receiving any monetization and I have no control over what ad placements go in. So, the YouTube partner program is such a pain to get into. Right. people keep being like, well, maybe you need to start a new channel since you're going to be switching from, stream content to scripted content. And I'm like, I'm grandfathered in to the YouTube partner program. Like, y'all do not understand the logistics behind getting in. It's like, not only do you have to have the metrics, but they also have to like manually approve you now, I think. Like, I've been partnered since a very long time ago. Yeah, I'm not getting any cut from my other channel. So it's like there's less motivation to post there. Except that I could also use that as a vehicle to drive traffic to my Patreon. Literally, starting a new channel is only something that's immediately financially viable if you're already a huge account. Like D'Angelo Wallace started a second channel, and Vosh has his second channel. Like, if you are a giant creator, so you're carrying over like 10% of your audience already, then sure. But yeah, if you're a mid or small creator, like, good fucking luck. It is not financially viable to distribute your content across numerous channels if you're small. I may or may not be doing marathons of When Oasis Left to try and boost the time. Rewatching the content is perfectly acceptable. Thank you very much. Vosh has a third channel too for gaming segments. I didn't even know that. That's cool. So yeah, like, anything I do on YouTube has to be on this channel for the time being, at least. So I am looking forward to growing the channel. I didn't retweet this earlier, but I do know who posted it. So why? Trying to see if I can find this tweet. I'm trying to find a video of Kamala. And she was asked directly about the Palestine issue, and I wanted to kind of react to it and discuss it. Okay, here it is. Yes, I found it. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. I'm gonna drink my coffee again for a minute here. Were you still going to redesign your logo? Yeah, my friend Dizzy is working on it. Dizzy is disabled and my friend, so they are not on any kind of time crunch. So I'll check in with them again about it soon. But yes, the logo is being redesigned at the moment. It's really interesting. Like, I will leave comments on stuff sometimes on this channel, and I'm like, oh, like, Ty Turner knows me as Luxander, so if I comment on this thing, he probably won't know that it's me. So I put like parentheses Luxander at the end of my message. Yeah, Dizzy is good friend. It's like somebody who has a graphic design degree, or most of a graphic design degree, is working on my icon right now. Which then will eventually mean that there's going to be new merchandise. Right now, I'm still selling the Anarchy logo merchandise. It may or may not stay up forever. It might come down at some point, or it might come back seasonally or something. So, I also recently added a couple things to the store. If you want like a giant mug or like a long sleeve t-shirt with a design on the front and the back, whatever. But that stuff is probably not going to stay up forever. So I'd also really love to start making things that I can post up on there. Like, I kind of love the when people are oh my god, my brain just emptied itself. Why? Oh, you know when people like collect bones and then they decorate them? I kind of want to do something like that. I think it would be fun uh, to make stuff and then sell that. And then I'm also in the middle of making this. I'm making an evil eye thing, like it'll hang. It'll be like a little wall hanger kind of thing. So it's like I don't know if this is something that I could sell. I don't know. Vaguely witchy things. We'll see. Train of thought lost. No survivors. True. Good night in a box. Thanks for hanging out. And I do crochet in my free time still, so I want to show you what I'm working on right now. And then I'm going to react to this video about Kamala. I'm just going to make you pay attention to my hobbies for a second. If you lot get this stream to the goal while I'm gone, so help you. Oh no. In a box wants to see what's in the box. Wouldn't it be so terrible if we got to the stream goal and we all got to see what was in the box and in a box didn't? I'm making a shawl. It's gonna be like so much bigger than this when I'm done because I have 4 more balls of yarn. This is 2 balls of yarn right here. That's 2 balls of yarn. And I'm gonna put 4 more in it. So it's gonna be like a giant blanket that I'm gonna wear. Like, put it all around myself. Like, warm. It's gonna be good. Put that back where it was. My desk, I recently cleared some of the yarn off my desk, and then I immediately decided to work on a couple more yarn projects, so fun. I'm spinning a good yarn. True. Nice color. Yeah, it's got like a winter vibe. It's not like, it's like white, and then it has this kind of bronzish, goldish color throughout it. So I'm hoping it's going to be nice and warm. That's the goal. I also made a cowl recently. It's like a really vibrant purple color. Good stuff. Okay, let's react to Kamala. Watch CNN try to fucking catch me out.
What do you say to voters who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at all because of this issue?
Listen,
So he's asking her about Palestine. Like, what do you say to people who are like, I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote third party because of this administration's involvement in the genocide in Gaza?
am not going to deny the strong feelings that people have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images who would not have strong feelings about what has happened, much less.
Do you think maybe if you can see the physical evidence of like maimed children that maybe you might have strong feelings about it? Weird.
Those who have relatives who have died and been killed, and I know people and have talked with people, so I appreciate that. But I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about the fact that we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is willing to.
So basically, I don't even know if it's worth watching the rest of this clip because it's like she basically is saying that like you have to accept what's going on in Gaza if you want the Democrats to work on grocery prices. Like, for the Democrats to not destroy the economy, we have no choice but to accept what's going on over there. Like, that was what that deflection was. That's what that pivot was in the middle of that statement, which I just think is crazy. I mean, it's, we know this. Like, we already know that the Democrats are going to continue to support Israel. But for her to just be like, yeah, well, if you want grocery prices to come down, you're going to vote for me, and I'm going to keep supporting Israel. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Those last bits are not wrong per se, but she is so smug with that answer. Yeah, like, I'm going to continue being really fucked up on foreign policy, but if you want good domestic policy, did you see her getting booed? Was it for that answer? Because I don't think this clip is long enough for that. Or was it something else where she got booed? Because I didn't know that she had been booed. I don't keep up with everything. I know the pivot was blatant and the answer was shit, but the one crumb of good is that they're actually calling Trump a fascist, which is undercut by that tiny little itsy bitsy genocide. Yeah, it's interesting how it's mainstream now to call Donald Trump a fascist when, like, I remember bawling my eyes out in 2016 when Trump got elected because I and all of my friends knew that this was a threat to democracy. Boos are the healing powers I need. I mean, we need more than boos. She got booed for the Gaza thing. Was that during this clip or does the clip cut short?
To work across the aisle on behalf of the American people and not themselves. They want a president who cares about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own body. Understanding that we're not trying to change anyone's belief, but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
I love, too, how... That's the end of the clip. I love, too, how she positions, like, Gaza versus abortion rights. Which, again, like, y'all are going to keep campaigning on that forever. This is part of why people hate the Democrats, is because for 50 years they were like, we're going to get Roe v. Wade passed. We're going to do the legislation to make it so where a court case couldn't overturn this. And they just never did. They just kept campaigning on it, and we kept voting for them being like, yeah, this time they're going to enshrine abortion rights. And then they never did. It's like, but like, if you want abortion rights, then you have to accept genocide in Gaza. That's like basically she's presenting these as like, if you want all these good things that the Democrats are offering, you have to accept that we are also going to keep doing the fucked up thing that you are really upset about us doing and that you want us to stop. And we're just not going to. Like, she's just stating we are not going to change policy on Gaza and Israel. Like, sorry. If you don't want to die of being septic because your miscarriage didn't fully miscarry itself, then, like, you have to accept children dying across the ocean. What happened to bullying Dems into doing what we want? Yeah, like, hypothetically, this should be the time where Democrats are subject to the most pressure. Like, if you want to win, you have to actually tell progressives that you're going to do something that they want you to do. But they take the progressive vote for granted, so they don't cater to progressives at all. And then somehow it's progressives' fault when they lose. This is the thing. This is the thing that I think, this is like the trap that I'm so frustrated by as a Democratic voter. As a Democratic voter, is that I just have to... Yeah, you think you just get to live without me punching you in the dick every day? What? The only thing about as fucked up as her constantly fumbling the ball is how this might deliver the election to Trump, who has promised to be worse. Right. Like, I think everybody was so hopeful about the election right when Kamala took over for Biden, and then she's just fumbling the ball so hard. I'll do anything for your vote, but not that. It's like, she's just trying to court conservatives in a country where young people are trending further and further progressive and old people are dying. So the like conservative leaning voters are a smaller and smaller part of the voting bloc. or that voting block is smaller, excuse me. She's like, I'm going to have a Republican on my cabinet. And it's like, who asked for that? Who wants that? Republicans want that. Democrats don't want that. Like, yes, me voting for a Democrat. You know what I'm voting for is for fucking Republican appointees? No. The people who say, and people have told me this before, and I respect them because this is supposed to be correct. Like, Mama Mephistopheles, I think, has said this before, or someone, I can't remember in the chat, was like, one thing to think about is that you're not just voting for the president, you're voting for all the people they are going to appoint. You're voting for an entire cabinet, you're voting for an entire administrative body. But if you vote for a Republican and she says, I'm going to appoint Republican, or sorry, you vote for a Democrat and she says, I'm going to appoint Republicans. It's like, voting for a Democrat was supposed to mean getting Democrats in all these fucking positions. But no, like this cry for bipartisanship is just turning into a government of centrists. Yes, she's banking on the idea that left-leaning people are forced to vote for her because she's not Trump. But, like, people won't vote for her if she's like, yeah, but I'm going to continue bombing little kids. From Michigan, she's struggling here. Yep. I'm living in a very simple truth that probably on November 7th, the whole world is going to be fucking wild for a week, and then we shall see what happens next. Literally not sure why the world will be erupting, but it will either way. If Trump wins, it will largely die down quickly considering his enemy within comments. If he loses, a lot longer than a week. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty crazy. I'm expecting it to just be like, I'm expecting this election, no matter what happens, to begin a period of widespread civil unrest. I hope that I'm wrong about that, but, you know. You would think that Dems would have learned in 2016 that saying I'm not Trump is not going to work. It's just not enough. Like, you need to have concrete plans. You need to make promises and then follow up on them. Like, I will say, one thing that Kamala has said that I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good, practical thing, and it could benefit me and I would appreciate it, is like the first-time home buyers down payment assistance. They've talked about passing a $25,000 down payment assistance, which is amazing because, like, I was looking into this, and if you were to buy a $300,000 house, typically you would put down a down payment of like 8%. Well, that's $25,000. I'm hoping I got that math right. I did the math like yesterday, but I might be misremembering. But like, so if a $25,000 down payment assistance, that might be the entire down payment. I mean, of course, it's good for you to have money saved up, and like the bigger a down payment, the better, because then the less you're paying off in the long run, and like the more likely you are to get the house because you can offer a larger amount of money up front. So like I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that would benefit people in the middle class or people hoping to enter into the middle class. That would benefit me. I would be happy about that. But like just the complete lack of conversation about a lot of other things that do really matter to people, it's hard to overlook. Like, that's the one thing that she said that I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with that. That would help me. I agree with it. Like, what else? What else do you have to offer? There was a hair in my mouth. I got it. Success. Can we creep up to 100 likes today? That would be cool. If you haven't hit the like button, that would be great. What did she say about trans people? We'll get into it in a minute. I don't want to launch into it right this second. We're working our way up to it. Came to the conclusion that I'm probably a binary trans guy. Hey, that's cool. Proud of you. Good job. Yes, I'm over the bipartisan crap. It is only dragging this country further to the right. What was it? Gayfesh said that there should be, like, that bipartisanship should mean, like, the Democrats and then a left-wing party. Like, that would recalibrate things. If we had the Democrats as our right-wing party, and then like an actual left-wing party, then bipartisanship could be reasonable, but no. I've decided to stop having NB meaning non-binary and be none ya business instead. None ya business. None ya biznatch. Yeah. So it's just going to be, like, I'm just genuinely expecting it to be fucked up from here on out in some form or fashion. Kamala wins and Trump supporters rebel. Or Kamala loses, they blame progressives for not voting for her. Or maybe she'll even win the popular vote and still not win because of the Electoral College. And then Trump wins and there's like a legal process of passing all these laws, Project 2025, blah, 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 making porn illegal, da-da-da. Yeah, I think it's just going to be kind of insane no matter what we do. So like, why would I invest energy into the outcome of this when it's going to be bad no matter what happens? Like, one version is less bad than the other, and I do support people voting for Kamala, and I will shame you for voting third party because that can actually fuck shit up. But it's like, yeah, let's not pretend like things are going to be monumentally different. Someone commented on this tweet, stopping the massacre of children is not as important as bringing down grocery prices. Oh, God. Yep. The Republican Party should be outlawed. The DNC are already shifting to the right. I think the ultimate fate of institutional political parties is to shift rightward. So without upending the system, the best we can hope for is replacing the current Liberal Party with a new one every few decades to maintain a slide to the left instead. Yeah. It is going to be fucked up. It has been for 10 years. Can you guys believe this has been going on for 10 years? Right. Yeah, like it's 24, and this whole conversation about Trump running for president started like 10 years ago. Obviously, the election itself was in 2016, but the way that election cycles work in this country, it's like at least a 2-year-long election cycle. I agree, Viren. It would be fascinating to see a tell-all book about the back end of this campaign. At best, they have concluded that for people who have Gaza as a major issue, they don't expect a net gain for doing the right thing versus some net gain for appealing to the never-Trumpers. It's gross. It's gross. Like, how many voters are you going to lose because you're just like, Lamau, we don't care about the Gaza situation? And Kamala implied in that clip that she has seen images of dead children or some kind of carnage going on over there. So it's like, how can you see that? She was saying, I know that some people are bothered by the images, but it's like, how can you see those images and still conclude that sending fucking more billions of dollars to Israel is a good thing to do? It's fucking baffling at the end of the day. It's baffling. Anyway, let's take a brief breath, because the next thing that I want to do is talk about Kamala's statements about transgender Americans. That is something that is obviously really important to me, but I want to just take a little moment, take a little sidebar for a minute before we get into that, because it is like the main thing that I want to talk about tonight. Okay, I've got the video pulled up, so I'm ready. It's only like 30 seconds long, so we'll get into it in a second here. Yeah, but speaking too about the back end of this campaign and how fascinating that is, it seems like they told the campaign that they should stop hammering in on the weird thing, which again I think is dumb because it was working. Like, positioning Republicans as weird and not socially desirable as a group, I think was a really good call. And I think I did make a video specifically about it. But like, I do think that undercutting fascists, and they want to seem like, ooh, they're normal and they're desirable and you should want to get into the in group. The more we undercut that, I think the better. So it does seem like they have changed that, though. Like, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, that they don't seem to be going in on the JD Vance is a weird guy, Trump is super weird. I am somewhat gratified by Walls calling Elon Musk a dipshit. That was pretty good. So, like, instead of calling him weird, calling him a dipshit, okay. I kind of like the trend of name calling from Democrats. Because, like, obviously Republicans have put name calling as a legitimate means of engaging in the discourse for a long time. So they're concentrating now on Trump's noticeable cognitive decline. Yeah, that's good. A conservative guy in my class actually said JD Vance is a weird guy. It was absolutely working. Yeah, keep doing what's working. Stop doing things that are not working. It's like they see progressive polling going up and they're like, we need to fix this. Like, why are you doing this? I'm a little optimistic about Kamala Harris winning, but even so, what do you think we should do if she doesn't? I mean, I'm going to make the same recommendations kind of no matter what. It's like, even if a Democrat wins, you are not going to be safe in a red state. So get out of the red states. Like, we're under a Biden presidency right now. We're under a Democrat presidency right now. And life has gotten materially worse for trans people in red states. So move to a blue state. Come up with some means of defending yourself, whether that's carrying pepper spray or a taser or a gun or going to a taekwondo class or something. Like, defend yourself and start making relationships in your local communities. Like, those are the recommendations that I would make. Just make the safest moves that you can, essentially. I mean, coming to the conclusion that Dems would rather let Republicans win than embrace progressive policies. We did watch a video once talking about how the Democrats seem to lose on purpose. And since then, I find that argument very convincing. If you look at Democrats' behavior and you're thinking about it in terms of the election, like the basic thought process is Democrats are trying to win. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be doing, right? So if you're like, okay, Democrats are trying to win, and then they do a bunch of things that are obviously fumbling the bag, it feels really confusing. It feels really jarring. But if you start looking at Democrat behavior as basically, like, the way that this guy put it was that for a while, Democrats did campaign for things that were popular among the people. But then as the political process has become more corporatized, Democrats are getting the majority of their funding from these corporations, which are opposed to a lot of the policies that are popular among the actual people. So what happens is Democrats have to profess a belief that they want to make life better for people. But then they do things like say, oh, well, the Senate parliamentarian told us that we can't have a conversation about raising the federal minimum wage, so we're just not going to talk about it again for the entire rest of the 4 years that Biden is in office. Like, they have to pretend like they can't do those things. So in some ways, for Democrats, it's actually easier for them if they lose. And if you look at some of the behaviors, it kind of makes more sense. This idea that they're losing on purpose, because then they can keep claiming to want to do things that are for people. But then when the Republicans are in power, they do things that serve the moneyed interests. And the moneyed interests are behind both sides. Like, let's not pretend. Any company that you have gotten mad at because they donate to the Republicans, they probably also donate to Democrats. So it kind of seems like Democrats are losing on purpose, because then then they don't have to reveal how duplicitous they are, if that makes any sense. Like, because actually the Democrats don't support progressive policies. That's why they don't pass progressive policies. What sucks is that the $15 minimum wage proposed should be closer to $20.25 now. I know, we've been talking about a $15 minimum wage for so long that is also a poverty wage now. And yet, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25. And if you live in a state like Kansas, it's $7.25. Like, many states have passed higher minimum wage, but some states just haven't. So we're stuck at a wage, the like 1 hour worth of wage on minimum. And let's just assume that you're getting 100% of it and nothing is getting taken through taxes. Like, it's not even enough to buy a meal at like McDonald's. It's barely even enough to buy one item off of the value menu at McDonald's, much less 2 items off of a value menu. You know, like, there is no dollar menu anymore. You're getting paid $7.25 an hour. It's not tenable. And like, even with Kamala now, she's saying things about like, let's strengthen the middle class. It's like, what about the lower class? Are you just going to not acknowledge that there are people living paycheck to paycheck and they're like avoiding going to the doctor because they can't get health care? Like, you're still resting on the laurels of the fucking Affordable Care Act? Are you serious? Like, I don't know. It's all really frustrating to me. 88 likes today. Wow. SCOTUS dictates a need to vote for Kamala. God bless you. I do not need to be told that. Like, yes, we all know that we have no choice but to vote for Kamala. She is the better of the two options. This, like, country will go much worse if we don't vote for Kamala. We know. We know this. It's frustrating that we can't criticize her without people being like, well, she's not Trump. It's like, duh. We just also want her to be a better Democratic candidate. Her being not Trump means that she can do all kinds of fucked up shit as long as it's not as bad as what he's doing. Like, we know. We know. Right. That's kind of how I feel too, Padfoot Sam. The middle class is like a sliver compared to the paycheck to paycheck people. The middle class, if like, you're catering to a very tiny group, because I'm pretty sure that the paycheck to paycheck people outnumber the quote middle class. The working class is oh, thank you. The middle class is shrinking. Like, if you're trying to get voters, that's not who you should appeal to. Byron says selling a guitar to a friend and donating part of the cut to see what's the doom is in the box. Indeed. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yes, if you haven't already been around for this, there is a box. It's a chest, and it's a secret what's inside. Unless we get to the dono goal today. What's in the box? Is there any noise? Can you hear any noise? There's noise. You can hear what's in there. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, let me add that to the stream goal for today. I think that was a $40 dono, right? Where am I? Yes, $40. Thank you. Which brings us up to $159.50, I think. Yeah, because it was at $119. Cool. Hey, 90 likes. Hell yeah. True, many of the paycheck to paycheck people are also under the delusion that they are middle class. Yeah. Like, I guess you have a house, so you think of yourself as middle class, but you know that if you miss more than one mortgage payment, that your house is going to get repossessed. Like, okay. I spent 2 hours of federal minimum wage on a burrito a couple days ago. Even here in Portland, it's still an hour of minimum wage for a single burrito. Food is insane expensive now. Yeah, I basically don't eat out. Like, very occasionally, we will get pizza because there's a pizza place that, like, has really good deals. So we'll grab a pizza. But, like, trying to eat at McDonald's or fucking, like, any fast food place, much less a restaurant. I don't eat in restaurants because of COVID, obviously, but what's up, Dr. Foxy? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, but even I can't imagine buying a house or starting a small business. Why is the middle class inaccessible to so many Americans? I don't know. It's just fucking weak ass economic policy, in my humble opinion. And that's not even getting into the whole trans people aspect of it. I have celiac and my loaf of bread is $8. Yeah, God forbid you have like a dietary restriction. Yeah, maybe if half my pay didn't go to rent. Truly. I'm planning to just go for van life. I gave up on owning a house. More and more people are going to be like, let's pool our resources to buy a house. And then you could own the house that you're living 4 people in 3 bedrooms. Sure. Literal stimulants are more affordable than food. I mean, that's a good, I guess, trade-off. Like, if you take the stimulants, then you're less hungry, right? Oh, man. I'm joking. That's terrible. But what's up, Oxpecker? Hello. Welcome in. Like, so many people are switching to, I'm going to get a tiny house, or like, I'm going to rent out my parents' basement. Based on world averages of land owned and other factors, me and my wife fall into the top 3% of the world. We are wildly poor, though, and hope like hell we can afford any new property tax when the land is reassessed for a new trailer. At this moment, we outright own the land, but could easily lose it if the property tax balloon. Yeah. Like, I've seen this happening with old people. Like old people who've owned their houses for years and now they're on a fixed income. And the property tax, like the property is now valued at like $100,000 more than it was the previous year. And they get priced out of the home that they've owned for years because the property tax is $2,000 a month. And that's more than they're getting on their fixed incomes. Yes, everybody is polyamory is going to be a requirement. You have to have at least 3 other people in the polycule in order to buy a house together. Renting needs to go the way of the dodo. It's simply another way for people to profit over others' needs. Yeah, I don't think that it's bad to have property that you don't own that you can live in for a couple years and then move, right? But it's a question of like, who's making the money? Like, are we charging people for this? If it were publicly owned, I think that could be a reasonable solution. Like you pay a nominal fee each month to account for the fact that like the carpet is going to need to be replaced after the end. But it's like, I don't need to pay $2,000 a month. Am I getting $2,000 a month worth of like services out of this? Like, especially for those of us who have shitty building maintenance and it's like, okay, I reported that this thing was broken and you haven't fucking fixed it and it's been several weeks now. Like a lot of us are dealing with those kind of things too. I think rent should be equity building with a bank. I have seen people say that I've seen 2 sides to this. The one side is like, okay, if you're going to check my credit history in order to tell me whether I can move in, then why are my on-time rent payments every month not counting toward my credit? But then there's a lot of people who can't pay their rent, and it's like probably a good thing that they don't have to Like that they might prioritize paying off their credit card versus paying their rent, and the rent doesn't hit them on the credit. I can see both sides to it. It is kind of silly that the natural conclusion of capitalism is at this point non-traditional family structures. I mean, technically, it does also increase traditional family structures. Like Capo in the YouTube chat just said, my grandma and her sister have lived together forever and are probably going to have to sell their house in a couple of years. There's a lot more people like living with their parents, or, you know, the traditional family truly is multi-generational. Like the traditional family is the grandparents still live there, the parents work, the grandparents watch the kids. Like that technically is a traditional family structure. And you're seeing more of that, more of people staying at home with their parents, even when they have kids. Yeah, if we could only count positives on the rent and not ding people for negatives. Yeah, but if you pay $40K in rent across 2 years, give me a 0 down loan. Give me the loan. I mean, yeah, obviously, if your family sucks, then that option is not open to you. And yeah. Like, I wouldn't go back and live with my parents. No, that sounds terrible. I'm very glad that I avoided doing that. There was a period of time at which I thought that maybe that was going to be an option, and like, no. I would much rather struggle on my own than go back and live with my folks. Making babies laugh remotely. I did get to see a baby again recently. There's a recent baby in my family, and it's nice to see babies. I don't want to, like, live with one, probably, but it's nice to see babies temporarily and be like, hello, baby, let me tickle your feet, and then leave, ha ha ha! It's a good way to go. Oh no, my coffee's almost gone. Why is the coffee gone? Sad. No more coffee. Sad, sad. I found out recently that I was really, I was making my kombucha way too strong. Like putting too much sugar and too much tea in it. So the next time I do it, I'm going to do it a little bit more moderately. I had some kombucha in the fridge that I was like letting it off gas little by little for like almost a week before I could actually open it and have it not explode everywhere. That was just a sidebar because I have a tab open about kombucha on my computer. I was like, what's this tab?
The Department of Defense just codified their rights.
Hold on. What is this? This is only 1 minute. What is this about, Oxpecker? Okay, let's see what this is.
To use lethal force against protesters. Yay!
Okay,
but I thought if Trump gets... The Department of Defense just codified their right to use lethal force against protesters. Yay!
Yay!
Oh, but I thought if Trump gets elected, we'll fall into fascism. Fascism is here, dickhead. Congrats. When people say that the Democrats and the Republicans are both right-wing parties that are trying to push us towards fascism, it's not like we're just talking out of our ass. The precursors for this move have been laid out all throughout the year by the Democratic Party. When Joe Biden and Kamala Harris labeled protesters in DC as terrorist sympathizers, that was a step towards what is happening now. When the current administration praised police officers for violently suppressing people's First Amendment rights, That was a precursor for what is happening now. When a bill was passed with bipartisan support to equate anti-Semitism to anti-Zionism, that was the groundwork for what is happening now. A lot of you like to swear that the Democrats and Republicans are these sworn enemies, but in reality, they are both bought out by corporate lobbyists in the Israeli regime. Both parties do not give a fuck about American people, they only care about what feeds their pockets. If you think I'm lying, how come Joe Biden was able to bypass Congress multiple times to send billions of dollars worth of aid to a fucking genocide, but could not bypass Congress a singular time to send aid to people who are currently suffering from the effects of Hurricane Helene? Places in America that as of right now, tens of thousands of people are presumed to be fucking dead. And we can't even muster up a fucking arms embargo even though the shit is costing our country all this fucking money. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister of Italy, who is a self-proclaimed fascist, has called for an instantaneous arms embargo of the Israeli regime. So now the Democratic and Republican parties are farther right than a self-proclaimed fucking fascist. And instead of listening to the people of America, they've codified their right to use lethal force to shut us the fuck up.
Yeah, so I will say that it is an interesting thing. And I've mentioned this before. It is actually like more efficient to have a dictator. So like if Italy has like a fascist in power who is like using that power to get things done, that is one of the benefits of a dictatorship, is that there is no bureaucratic quibbling. There is no, oh, how are we going to allocate the budget? Like, what are we doing? Like, no, things just get done. If there's a king, if there's an emperor, if there's a czar, like that person at the top of the hierarchy just says like, yo, we are no longer sending money there. Or yo, that bridge needs to be built. Or yo, I want to build, I don't know, like a wall or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what the thing is. And it can be a good policy or a bad policy. That's the thing about dictatorships. Obviously, you're kind of reliant on whether that one person is good or bad, fundamentally. Like, the idea of the benevolent dictator, I guess, is appealing in some ways because it's like, yeah, that person doesn't have to ask permission. They don't have to go to the parliament and be like, pretty please, will you allocate funds to this new bridge that I want to build? Like, no. I said the bridge is going to be built. Why is it like it should have happened yesterday? Build the bridge. Whatever it is. Ooh, Fen, interestingly, if you eat tuna and other fish that's supposed to have high levels of mercury in it, if you drink green tea, it seems that that prevents your body from absorbing the mercury into your muscles, which is why mercury is problematic, is because it accumulates in your muscles. But you could, every time I am going to eat tuna, I basically like drink green tea the same day because it helps. Jazz Dog, hello. Good to see you. I hope that your musical writer's block has gotten better. I saw you tweeting about it. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to changing the setup after I move, but it is very nice for now. I'm like, I think that I want to put something else instead of this. It's a blanket. It's a quilt that my mother-in-law made for me, but it's like, I'm looking forward to kind of exploring the vibes. I have a nitpick for that rant video, but I don't think it matters much. What's the nitpick? It has Garden of Eden type shit. Yeah, it does. It's like a gardeny green. But yeah, I don't think I had actually looked this up. DoD Directive 5240. Let me Google that. Dead Domains played 3 of my songs on stream Wednesday. That's nice. Hell yeah. Dead Domain is super cool. I appreciate the energy they bring to the political commentary arena, basically. Can you even have writer's block as a jazz musician if it's all about the notes you don't play? I don't think that Jazz Dog is an exclusively jazz musician. I might be wrong. I don't think so. Okay, let me just... Yeah, what is this Department of Defense thing? Okay. This starting off strong. The Pentagon has denied claims running rampant online around an updated Defense Department document outlining how military intelligence can be shared with local and federal authorities after numerous sources claimed the directive opened the door for the use of force against civilians ahead of U.S. elections. The policies concerning the use of force by DoD are not new and do not authorize the DoD to use lethal force against U.S. citizens or people located inside the U.S., contrary to rumors and rhetoric circulating on social media. I mean, basically what I'm hearing here is that it already has been authorized for U.S. forces to use lethal force against U.S. citizens. Like, because obviously they have been. I mean, we all know, like, if you shoot at someone with a rubber mallet gun thing, what the fuck is it called? The rubber bullets. It's not non-lethal, it's less lethal. But if you shoot them at people's faces, it is no longer less lethal. It's like cops kill police and cops kill people and they don't get punished for it. It's like because it already is basically legal for them to use lethal force against individuals. Anybody know what Moss is talking about in the title? We will get to it. I promise we will get to it. I just don't want to blow that load this early in stream. I have 2 hours left of stream. The nitpick is that Biden's Israel aid is under a different mechanism to what he can do for Helen aid, so it doesn't make sense to compare the two. In the grander scheme of that video, I don't think it detracts from the point. Yeah, so of course, yes, it's different mechanisms because it's like, well, we have funding for FEMA, and that's like different from our funding for foreign aid or whatever. But like, I think part of the criticism is that it's easy to send more money to Israel, but there's all this bureaucratic bullshit that keeps money from being sent to people struggling after hurricanes. Like, I think that's part of it. Like, why is it easier to send money to Israel than it is to send money to people for North Carolina? Why can't we just sell weapons to North Carolina to fix Helen damage? Yeah, well, I mean, they do just straight up send money to Israel. As far as I can tell, it's arms and money. What's up, Grin Vision? We will get to it in a minute. I promise. We have not covered the news yet. I mean, we've covered all kinds of news today, but we haven't gotten to that one particular thing. But if you're just coming in and you have not yet hit the like button, please hit the like button. And then if you want to, you can hop over to the website chat, which is the one that's on screen. This is not Twitch, it's the website. And if you didn't know, you can also become a member on YouTube. So if you don't want to leave YouTube chat, you can still get access to a custom color and custom emojis and stuff like that through a $5 a month membership there. And you get other perks with that. I'm just not going to sit here and tell you about all of them because there are actually kind of a lot. So this continues saying, the paragraph that's most frequently referenced on social media is new to this directive. However, it does not reflect any change to DoD's policy regarding the use of lethal force by DoD personnel. Goodbye, Mersh. Have fun. The Secretary of Defense can approve, quote, assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. Like, what are we supposed to take that to mean? The directive does not hand over new powers to the military. The directive is actually just a reminder for the Pentagon that if they are backing up law enforcement or police in a scenario where there could be a use of force, this must be greenlit by the Secretary of Defense. Okay, but it's still saying like the Secretary of Defense can greenlight lethal force being used against citizens if the DoD gets involved. There are still a host of legal protections around domestic activity, and this doesn't override anything. It's a statement of policy, not a change in the law. Yeah, I mean, it basically is just telling me that, like, lethal force can still be used. Just, I don't know. And I haven't checked into what's going on with Hurricane Helene, if there have been, like, has there been a deployment of FEMA? I'm, like, assuming that there must have been, but it would not surprise me entirely if there just wasn't. Like, I know someone whose children were swept away in a flood and died because of Hurricane Helene. So, like, I do not know what policies or whatever, like, what aid has been deployed at this point. But it is interesting how that's kind of out of the news cycle now. You hardly see anything about hurricane recovery after the immediate aftermath. Like, it's sort of, the news is just like, bye-bye, whatever. Moving on. Okay, the DoD thing. Let me close that. I don't really need that anymore. My understanding is FEMA has done their job to the extent they can. Well, yeah, okay, yes, I'm glad that that is the case. And also, I know that FEMA was, like, underfunded. Like, that it has been funded less over time. So, like, yeah, I don't like that it seems as though we're basically just left to our own devices. Yeah, like, what is happening with hurricane recovery? People are supposed to have at least 4 weeks of expenses covered by their savings because, like, what if your job doesn't open back up afterward, or, like, things are more expensive afterward? Like, you can't get to work because the roads are all messed up and covered with debris. But most people don't have savings like that. Like, what is happening to those people who just are running out of money? Is that considered something that we give aid for, or do we only give aid for, like, providing water and housing temporarily to people? Like, I don't even, like, it just seems like not very robust. Yeah, who has any savings? I think basically the entire reason I have savings right now is because I have been taking all of the money from the GoFundMe and putting it directly in my savings account. Basically, they were able to handle Helene and got lucky with the big one not doing as much damage as it could have. Yeah, and then it's immediately followed by Milton. So, but I'm glad that things are, like, they're doing fairly well with the recovery. I'm glad to hear that it's not nothing. Obviously, that's the concern, is that, like, people are not getting enough help. Because I know in Appalachia, too, there's so many people who are... Oh, Milton is the big one I was referring to. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, people, like, isolated. You have to go on a long back road to even get to this person's house kind of situations. And, like, there's a bunch of shit on the road because it flooded at one point. I gotta drink some water. Hail hydrate, y'all. Ooh, almost 100 likes. Ooh, that's exciting. We will have more and worse things soon. The quake count off the Oregon coast has been doubling annually for a few years now. Oh, man. I thought that I was moving somewhere where there's relatively little, like, cataclysmic activity. I'm not necessarily saving the trans news for the end. It's like, I didn't want to get to it in the first 2 hours, because then I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about after that. I don't have a plan for what to talk about after. Oh, there it is. 100 likes. 63 viewers. Thank you. That's wonderful. And we're so close to the dono goal, too. See? We're getting very close to the dono goal. At which time I will show you what's in the box. Secret box. It's the only major issue for a while. A few volcanoes will erupt. It will actually stimulate the environment up here. Yeah, what I see happening in the PNW is actually increased economic output, increased agricultural output. Yummy, yummy. What's up, Storm Chaser? Excuse me. Burpee, burpee, burpee. I just need to rest my voice for a second. Just talking for 2 consecutive hours. We need to have like a mid-show video or something that we can watch. Secret box or secret tunnel? It's a secret box. Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Anytime I hear banjo, I'm like, two lovers. Avatar. Mid-show looking at memes. Yeah, something. Storm Chaser Patrick says that he has the best news item of the week. Gonna post a link in Discord. Are you gonna post a link in Discord? Ooh. You can always post stuff in stream recommendations channel on the Discord, y'all. And then I will see it, and then we can talk about it. What? German police raid pizzeria serving side order of cocaine. Okay, what? Police have raided a pizzeria in Western Germany, which they alleged served customers a side of cocaine when they ordered item number 40 on the menu. Excuse me. Authorities were tipped off about the scheme in March by food inspectors, and drug squad officers began watching the restaurant. When police went to detain the pizzeria manager at his apartment, the 36-year-old reportedly threw a bag of drugs out of the window, which, quote, fell right into the arms of police officers. Police found 3.5 pounds of cocaine, 14 ounces of cannabis, and 268,000 pounds in cash in the apartment, or euros. I can't remember what these symbols mean. The restaurant manager was released by police a few days later, and he reopened his restaurant and continued to sell the drug and pizza combination. Dude, what a Chad. What? I would like the Colombian pizza, please. It's euros. Okay, I I don't fucking care that much. Wow, what? Investigators used the opportunity to explore the drug supply chain to the pizzeria, leading them to bust a drug ring in Western Germany weeks later. Around 150 officers raided 2 cannabis plantations where 300 plants were found, and another one where 60 plants were found. Leave these good people alone. Let these good people make their money growing their weed. Just let them do it. The homes and businesses of 12 suspects were also raided, resulting in the arrests of 3 people, including a 22-year-old suspected of being the head of the drug operation. Entrepreneurial spirit, okay? We support young business owners. Police also found weapons, money, and expensive watches. The pizzeria manager was rearrested while trying to leave the country and remains in custody. The number 40 was one of the best-selling pizzas. Police have not released the names of others involved in the operation or the price of the pizza and cocaine combination. Wow. 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 Like, free them. Come on. That's too funny. That's absurd. I love how, yeah, the dude was like, yeah, I'm just going to go back to selling my drug and pizza combination. That is the best part of the story. Reopened the restaurant and was like, yo, you want the number 40? I'm assuming that that's funny for some reason. Like, I don't know anything about, I don't really know much about drug, like, terminology. I'm guessing that a 40 is, like, relevant to cocaine somehow. I have no idea, but that's very funny. Hilarious. Thank you for sharing. He had lost around $200,000 in money that wasn't his, probably. Needed to make it back somehow. Gotta make it back somehow. That's too funny. I love that. See, this is the kind of stuff that I want to cover on this show. This is the kind of stuff I want to talk about. But it seems like I do need to pivot to talking about Kamala soon. I mean, talking about the trans thing specifically soon. Because y'all are getting mad at me for not talking about it. Getting maximum upset. As a brain cleanse, can we just get some emoji posting? I would like to just brain cleanse with some emoji posting. And I'll just be quiet and watch the chat for a few minutes. Chat delay. You have to be nice to your voice box. Give it a little break. Good choices. And if you want access to some custom emojis in the YouTube chat, become a channel member. I'm old now. Making pom-pom monsters? That's fun. Is that like crochet? Got to do a little brain cleanse. Well, I guess let's watch this 30-second video and then respond to it because I find this very annoying. Okay, so
let me ask you
I'm
this
just gonna
question,
get the
very
volume
broadly
up.
speaking here.
Sure.
Okay, I got the volume up. No. What if I just type dicks a bunch? I don't think that would be good. Apparently, the snow nados are possible in Kansas next weekend. Chasing tornadoes with snow gear is going to be wild. What? Is it going to snow next week? It's like, yes, it is the time of year where it should start. The weather should start changing. It's been in the 70s and 80s, and it's fucking insane. But, like, snow? What is next weekend going to look like? I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be cold enough next weekend, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's talk about this Kamala news. If you haven't hit the like button already, hit the like button. Also, if you are interested in donating to find out what's inside the box, we're getting close to the end of the goal. Do you want to find out what's in the box? What's in it? Trying to get to $200 in donations. Lux, are you going to be ready for the rainy/dry season here in Portland? I mean, as I understand it, the rainy season is in the winter. And then, like, I mean, yes, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. Okay. Okay, I'm ready to talk about Kamala throwing trans people under the bus now. Nightmare scenario. Okay.
Let me ask you this question, very broadly speaking here.
Sure.
Do you believe that transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care in this country?
I believe we should follow the law. I mean, I think you're probably pointing to the fact that Donald Trump's campaign has spent tens of millions of dollars.
They're trying to define you on this.
Yes,
I'm asking you to define yourself, though. Just broadly speaking, what is your value? Do you believe they should have that access?
I believe that.
I really love this interviewer. I love that she pushed on this. Because that was the weakest fucking answer ever. Okay? We're going to talk about it in more detail here in a second. I'm just going to play the whole thing, but we're going to break it down.
That people, as the law states, even on this issue about federal law, that is a decision that doctors will make in terms of what is medically necessary. I'm not going to put myself in the position of a doctor.
Let me ask you this question.
I think maybe the original clip that I saw was longer than that. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can find the longer. Is there a longer clip of this? Or is that the whole thing? Okay, no. No. Yeah, okay, so there is one clip that's like a minute long instead of just 30 seconds long. Let's look at this one.
Do you believe that transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care in this country?
I believe we should follow the law. I mean, I think you're probably pointing even on this issue about federal law. That is a decision that doctors will make in terms of what is medically necessary. I'm not going to put myself in the position of a doctor.
I will move on, but I don't know that I heard a clear answer from you on the issue of gender-affirming care. It sounds like what you're saying is there should be something between trans Americans and their doctors. It feels like that's a long way from "we see you and we love you," which was your message to trans Americans in May. What do you want the LGBTQ plus community to know as they're looking for a full-throated backing from you for trans Americans?
I believe that all people should be treated with dignity and respect.
Do you believe?
Okay, so. Thank you, Turtle Bird Me, for the 777. What's in the box? Also, what is the general consensus on trans people in the military or government employment? Yeah, I mean, government, sorry, the military is like the single largest employer of trans people. So I think it's like obviously harder to get a regular job for trans people than it is to serve in the military. So whatever, you know, if you can get the U.S. government to pay for your shit because you're a member of the military, then cool, whatever. Thank you for your donation. Let me add that to the dono goal real quick before I move on and get into talking about this. Video here. Okay, that puts us at okay, hold on, 167.27 for today. Why are y'all donating such weird amounts? Thank you though, appreciate you. Okay, come back, chat. I want to see you. I want to see you. Okay, so her very first reaction on this was, I think we should follow the law. Yes, we will follow the law has the same vibes as let the states decide. Because, okay, if we're following the law and we live in Texas or Florida where gender affirming care is being restricted, like it does sound like a states' rights issue. It sounds like you're kicking it over to the states. There is no federal law that says trans people deserve access to care. And in fact, we are about to have the SCOTUS ruling on whether trans people are protected by the 14th Amendment, like whether our health care is protected by the 14th Amendment. Like, we're about to answer this question. Yeah, follow the law, girl. You are the law. That's what I'm saying. You know, for her to say, like, we should follow the law. Like, okay, what law are you invoking? Because what that sounds like is like, okay, in some places it's illegal or being restricted, and we should follow the law in that case. Like, what does that mean? She could have, if she had said the thing at the beginning, or sorry, if she had said at the beginning what she followed up with, like, I'm not going to put myself in the position of a doctor. This should be a decision that Americans make with their doctors. If she had led with that, we would be having a completely different conversation. This would not be a conversation about how Kamala is throwing us under the bus because she doesn't want her campaign. Like, I on one hand, I kind of get it that the Republicans are defining this election partially based on how we think about trans people and like whether we deserve access to care. So I can kind of see the reluctance to let this election be defined by that one issue. And I think that there was a different way to go about this, though. You could point out, I mean, she tried to point out like, oh, Donald Trump is wasting all this time talking about it. It shows that she or her campaign believes that talking about the trans issue is a waste of time or that it's unpopular. So she's like, oh, well, yeah, Trump, you know, he's talking about this frivolous thing that doesn't matter. Like, it does matter to a lot of Americans. There's a reason why it's a losing issue for them. And it's not that people don't want to talk about it. It's that people don't like hatred or increased restrictions. She could have said, look, my campaign supports the right to choose. And usually this is in the context of abortion, but we also think that trans Americans have the right to choose with their doctors. You know, there is a very big difference between leading with that versus I think we should follow the law, because that does, it sounds like states' rights. And I think I was reading something from Erin Reed. She says, yeah, so she's responding to someone who said Kamala really said states' rights on HRT for trans people. Erin says, I believe that this is a mischaracterization of Harris's answer, which I thought was particularly strong. Oh, you mean like when the interviewer had to interrupt her to get a fucking straight answer? She focused on three things. This is a decision between doctors and patients. The law requires medical care be given. Like, what are you talking about? What law are you talking about that requires medical care be given? That's not the case. That's the whole fucking fundamental issue. I'm getting worked up. That's the whole fundamental issue with abortion, is that the law doesn't require medical care be given. It can be denied for certain things in certain situations. Like, is it illegal for my insurance company to deny me access to the medication that my doctor prescribed? No. There aren't robust laws protecting the right to medical care. What the fuck are you talking about, Aaron? And her other point is like, oh, the third point is that Trump's ads are harmful. Like, no. This was a shit answer. We should follow the law is the worst non-answer any political candidate could possibly give because they are specifically responsible for making and enforcing the law. Yeah, we should follow the law is an equally valid answer if she wants to outlaw all trans-affirming care. Yeah, law has straight up made it illegal in many situations. Like, what? This is cope. This is cope of a degree that I don't know that I've seen in this election prior to this point. This is cope. Kamala does not support trans healthcare. She will say things like, I'm not a doctor. But if she had led with that, again, this would be a different conversation. If she would have said, we shouldn't be making laws around this. We shouldn't be dictating through the law whether people get access to medical care or not. She just said, we should follow the law. And like, yeah, it's weak. It's weak as fuck when you are a person whose job it is to make laws. She should say, like, I support legislation enshrining people's right to trans healthcare in the same way that I support legislation enshrining abortion rights. Yeah, this is I generally, I love Aaron's coverage, but this is a huge miss. This is cope. Yes, she's trying to court conservatives, so she's talking out both sides of her mouth. Yeah. I'm not a doctor is something I've heard Republican legislators use in hearings right before they say some horrendously transphobic shit. Yeah, it's not a strong answer. For her to, she should have come out and just said, I unequivocally support transgender Americans' rights to determine what to do with their own bodies. Again, you can just recycle the rhetoric that you're using for abortion, but she won't. She and her campaign are afraid to make strong statements saying like, yes, we support transgender Americans, and Trump is wasting time making that a central issue. So full-throated say, I support transgender Americans, and then you can say, this is not an election-defining issue. Democrats ought to use the bully pulpit. They just don't. They are slaves to institutionalism and preserving the process and never actually fight for anything. Yeah. Straddling the fence gets uncomfortable. Her and her campaign are afraid to make strong statements. Could have stopped there. Yeah. They are afraid to make strong statements about any subject because they don't want to alienate deeply conservative voters who they're trying to pull away from Trump. That's the main thing. That's like basically her entire campaign strategy is let's try to court hardcore Republicans who just happen to not like Trump. That's not true. She makes a strong statement on immigration. That's true. She's like, I want to be even more right-wing on immigration than fucking Ronald Reagan. That's true. Yes, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Trans care and abortion and contraception are all at their core a question of bodily autonomy. So yes, you could just use the same fucking rhetoric. This shit is so disappointing. I think conservatives would be more responsive to her at least having a stance, TBH. Like, it is a fundamental, like, schism in the Democratic Party for them to say on one hand, like, we think that, like, we support women choosing no matter what. We support women no matter what. Like, they should always have the final say with their doctors and the law should not be part of it. But for them to also be like, well, we should follow the law when it comes to trans care. What the fuck do you mean? In a sense, calling Trump fascist is a strong statement. It's just like 8 years late. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Like, I genuinely don't think that her outright calling Trump a fascist is making any difference in this context. Like, I don't think that people actually are listening. I don't think that, like, it's kind of like, it's It's like when people used to call feminists feminazis. It's like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a way to rally certain people around, to like confirm for some people. Like, it seems like it should be a strong statement for them to call him a fascist, but it's just too little too late. Like, if Trump is a fascist, like, why is there not a strong legal mechanism for preventing fascists from running for office? You know what I mean? Like, why is there not a mechanism saying, like, why is it that we are at the brink of fascism in this country when we could be like, yeah, if you are outright stating that you are going to dismantle the ability to vote, you're not allowed to run. Like, it should be that way based on how this government system has a tendency to reinforce itself. Thank you. I'm going to get to that donation in a second. Like, we complain so much about the bureaucratic resistance to change. Like, this is a situation where there should be, like, excuse me, I had to burp, a strong mechanism of resistance to change that says, if you're threatening to change the system this much in this way, then you should be in jail, or you should at least be disqualified from running. Like, it really makes it seem like the system is designed to head toward fascism if there isn't a mechanism preventing ideologues like this from getting into power in the first place. Yeah, it's lost real meaning. They've called wolf, but they don't do anything about it. Did we just get to the amount for the box? Thank you very much for the $35 donation from Ancom. Ancom Psycom. Great name. Thank you very much. Where are we at right now? 160, yeah, 167.27 with your weird amounts. Plus 35. Yeah, that puts us at 202.27 for today. Thank you. Thank you very much for your donations, everybody. 202.27. Look at that. Wow. Appreciate you. Okay, so what's in the box? We'll get back to this discussion in a second, but we're going to look at what's in the box. Okay, got my box. My wonderful little dusty chest. Those are good sounds. Tippy tapping on the wood. Okay, so yeah, it's got this little, like, slides up and opens it so it doesn't properly lock, but it does close. Okay, what's in the box? In my brain, does anybody else have the music playing that's in Zelda? Like, wa-na-na-na, 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 wa-na-na-na. It's trans eggs. Okay, open it all the way. Okay, now I gotta hold it up because it will just slam shut on my fingers. Look at this. We got trans eggs. Cute. Trans eggs. And another trans egg. Ah, these are my Easter decorations. And then also these little, I don't really know what these are. They almost look like tiny fake pumpkins. Tiny fake pumpkins. And there's also a lot of teeny tiny seashells in here. Teeny tiny seashells. For Sunday. And we'll see what's in it. Or sorry, for Wednesday. That's the next stream. Wasn't that exciting? But it would be fun. We've now set a precedent. Driving up donos will now be tied to what's in the box incentives. I think that this is better than flexing. Although I will just give you one real quick. Because I'm not working out right now. I'm taking a break from working out because I had COVID. Do the eggs hatch on Wednesday? I mean, maybe. Because, like, yeah, doing these is just like, it's getting old. It's the same arm every time. I'm not making any progress, so it seems like maybe we'll switch to the box and see how that works for a while. We'll see how many different nesting boxes. Yo, I do have another. I could do that. I could be like, inside the box is another box. But yeah. So we'll see if that holds, if that continues to be a thing that causes people to donate. What's in that box? And muscles ready to box. Ready to box. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for those donos. That's very generous. You can continue to donate. I just don't have another thing set up and ready for like a stretch dono goal. But yeah, I just think this is some of the weakest shit. So Aaron is, yeah, what's in the box? These hands. So Aaron is continuing on her cope train, saying, regarding the I will follow the law portion, Harris, when hearing the question, responded talking about trans prisoners, and she used the same framework that she did previously. In the Fox News interview, she specifically said, the law requires we give them care on a medical necessity basis. She echoed that in the in the NBC interview. God, where did it just go? Oh my God, where? She echoed that in the NBC interview, saying that doctors will make decisions on what is medically necessary. This is not her at all saying that we need to follow state-level anti-trans laws. Bitch, where? Again, this is cope. You're inventing shit to make her answer less bad. In fact, justices appointed by the Biden admin have already ruled many unconstitutional. I fully expect justices appointed by the Harris admin to likewise rule anti-trans laws unconstitutional, and in fact, the only pathway I see to getting such laws ruled unconstitutional is through Harris appointees. Duh. Trump appointees means we're 30 to 40 years out. Duh. I wish people would shut the fuck up about the Supreme Court. It's like, we know. Everybody knows. Like, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't expect more from the Democratic candidate on this issue. For the stretch goal, could have a Stretch Armstrong toy to tie together with the old flex goal. Maybe. But yeah, I just... saying we will follow the law is a bad thing to say in a situation where, like, the law is changing to outlaw trans care in many places. If she had led with, much like abortion, this is an issue between trans people and their doctors. Cool. Leave it at that. Leave it at that. That is, I think, a statement of support. In the context of everything else she said, that feels weak. And it feels like we're basically just saying, oh, well, the trans issue is not that important. Let's focus on something else. I'm not going to give you a hard answer. I'm going to initially say a weaselly answer. And then when I'm pressed, I'll say, well, I'm not a doctor. Okay, bitch. Okay. Honestly, the Supreme Court is the odd reason I have hope that Harris will outperform her polls, specifically Dobbs. Sure, yeah, no, I mean, Trump not getting several more Supreme Court appointees is important. Like, yeah, we get it. We know. Obviously, I would prefer if Trump didn't get more Supreme Court appointees. And furthermore, if we could do something like put term limits on it, an 18-year term limit would get rid of 3 conservative justices. Okay, I'm going to run to the restroom really fast. I just need to go pee and rest my voice. And I'm sure we will talk more about Kamala or other related issues when I get back. But I just need to rest my voice a little bit, so let me pull up some music for you. Okay. I'm getting some music ready so that I can be gone for 5 minutes or so and not worry about it. Shush. Shush, shush, shush. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Okay. Okay. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Get yourself a drink, but then come right back. I'll be back shortly. Be good while I'm gone. Request more boxes. Okay. I will take that request to heart. There will be more boxes next time. Even if term limits get imposed, there's no way it forces out sitting judges. They'll be grandfathered in. I don't think that's how that works. I don't think so. Oh, true, Padfoot Sam. Oh my god. I wish you would just go, I'm expanding the Supreme Court and I'll get my way if they don't toe the line. FDR did it. Then I'd come out with legislation I want passed by the Senate and Congress and threaten to air their dirty laundry if they don't pass pro-trans rights and the right to an abortion. Unfortunately, we don't have a left party to do that. Yeah, I do think it would probably not be politically expedient for her if right now she was like, I'm going to expand the Supreme Court and you can suck my dick. But I think if she gets in, it would be a good call for her to do. Like, at the very minimum, we should have as many Supreme Court justices as we have circuit courts of appeal, which is 13, I believe. So if we have 13 justices, okay, you can cram 4 liberal justices on there, and then they get 18 years if we propose an 18-year term limit. And then that 18-year term limit kicks out 3 conservative justices. Look at that. Suddenly, we have like, there's already a couple not conservative justices on there. So that gives us like a majority liberal court. And then boom, let's start fucking passing shit. Let's start reviewing past judgments. Like, this is the route that we should be taking, but we won't. Because again, the Democrat goal is not to actually accomplish anything. 111 likes. Ooh, I love to see that. 111 likes. Gorge. Oh, jeez. Actually fucked that adding 4 liberal justices gets you a slim majority. Yeah. It's 6-3 right now, isn't it? Or I guess one of them is like, sometimes he's a little bit more liberal on things. But yeah, I'm hopeful that things are better, right? But I'm just like, practically speaking, I'm not very pragmatically invested in that hope. It's like hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right? I kind of find myself erring on the side of preparing for the worst. Like, yeah, I hope that they pass federal protections for trans people. Yeah, I hope that they pass abortion rights in the federal legislation. But they're not going to. So, like, why am I'm not getting my hopes up for that. I hope that they do something about climate change. Are they going to? Probably not. Like, let's just be realistic. She is still better than the alternative, blah, 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 still better than Trump, blah, 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 blah. We get it. I don't need to be told over and over again that she's better than Trump. I want her to be better than she is. I want her to be a better version of herself. But no. Oh, man. While Kamala is pretty disappointing on this, I will say Tim Walz has at least been a bit more, like a bit less wishy-washy. Is there a video on here of this, or like a quote? Is this just a picture? This is just a picture. I don't think that there's a clip of this, which is kind of disappointing. But according to Aaron Reed's Substack, hold on, there's a link out. Does this? Okay, this is just a podcast, and there's no, you can't skip through. There's no timestamps for like when they talk about things. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Governor Tim Walz sat down for an interview on the We Can Do Hard Things podcast. Midway through the podcast, the discussion shifted to queer youth, specifically trans kids. Rather than shying away from the topic, Walz delivered a passionate, several-minute-long defense of LGBTQ+ rights, including trans health care. He outlined his vision for the administration's role in protecting these rights. Walz discussed positive legislative actions, such as codifying hate crime laws and increasing education, while emphasizing the importance of using his platform to advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. He then addressed the role of judges in safeguarding medical care for youth. I also think your point on this, and I was just mentioning, we need to appoint judges who uphold the right to marriage, uphold the right to be who you are, making sure that's the case, uphold the right to get the medical care that you need. We should not be naive. Those appointments are really, really important. I think that's what the vice president is committed to. He directly pivoted to calling out national anti-trans attack ads, which have flooded the airwaves. The hate has shifted to the trans community. They see that as an opportunity. If you're watching any sporting events right now, you see that Donald Trump's closing arguments are to demonize a group of people for being who they are. He continues, we're out there trying to make the case that access to healthcare, a clean environment, manufacturing jobs, and keeping your local hospital open are what people are really concerned about. They're running millions of dollars of ads demonizing folks who are just trying to live their lives. Emphasized the importance of representation and the impact of coming out. Look, you're reaching a lot of folks in hearing this, and for some people, it's not even out of malice, and it's not a pejorative, it's out of ignorance. Blah, blah, blah. So basically, like, he said things that were more overtly supportive, which is cool. Yes, I hope that he drags her left. That's what we want. We hope that he represents like a strong progressive voice in the admin. We hope that he will push back on her when she wants to do dumb fuck right-wing shit. I don't know if it's going to work that way, but that is what we want. Yeah, Walz is easily the stronger half of the ticket. It would be nice to have a femme president with those values. Yeah. Can we just, like, take all of Tim Walz's opinions and put them in Kamala's body? That would be a decent candidate. Like, I'm tired of them running on the id poll, like the identity politics of it. Walz was the second hope pill after the original one was that Biden would drop out. Yeah, I'm much more excited. If realistically, I'm voting for Tim Walz. I'm not really voting for Kamala Harris. I'm really like, Tim Walz is like the strong half of the ticket. He is the one who is overtly saying things that I agree with. Kamala is a fucking cop, like, and she is representing all of those things that I am not a fan of. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Let's just keep our fucking fingers crossed, but at the same time, like, make plans to strengthen your local communities, because that's the thing that's going to actually make an impact on your life. Okay. We have about an hour left. We typically do the 4-hour show. So let's see what else there is to do with this next hour. There's probably other trans news, if I had to guess. I'm almost positive that I've seen other trans news and it just hasn't. I just haven't been keeping track of these things in the same way the last few weeks. I think wasn't there a study that just came out that that proved a causal relationship between all of these anti-trans laws passing and an increase in youth suicide attempts? I thought that I saw something along those lines. Oh, here's something fun. Let's see. Let's see what this is.
Because you're all people that have a lot of money. I know about 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts. We're going to pay off our debt. We're going to do all of the things that we have. Because you're all people.
So Trump speaking in front of a group of mega rich people, apparently. He says, oh, we're going to give you tax cuts. Yeah, who's going to pay for that? That middle and lower class, probably. I'm like, I guess I'm kind of interested in seeing what it's like when I file taxes this year, because I feel like the last several years it's been like, why do I owe so much in taxes? Like, why? It just seems like I'm in a dreadful place where it's like I'm making a little bit more money now. Like my household is making a little bit more money, and like you leave, like the earned income tax credit was changed. So it's like you start to make an amount of money and you're really not at the level of like, oh, well, you don't need tax cuts anymore, but then like poverty is defined so strictly that you're like making more money than you can get assistance for, but you're not making enough money to really be stable. It's like it's like the ceiling for trying to get into the middle class is pretty fucked up. We're going to do all the things as equally as stupid sounding and threatening from him. Yeah. I feel like there is like a political will to do things that Republicans want to do, though, in a weird way. You know what I mean? I was going to say something about Trump being one hot mic away from openly committing campaign finance fraud, then remembered that is unironically one of the cases he is running to avoid going down for. Yeah. Like, again, why is this guy free? Like, why is he not in jail? I don't think that jail is a good thing in general, but like, so long as we have it, I feel like jail doesn't mean anything if Trump isn't in one. Like, what is the purpose of this if Trump isn't in one? It's insane how much broke people pay in taxes versus the wealthy. Yeah. And like, if you're self-employed, congrats. You owe double the taxes that most people do, even if you only made like $10,000. So I'm hoping to be in a better position like next year so that I can pay taxes throughout the year instead of just owing at the end of the year. But we'll just have to see. Like, if I don't have the money, then I don't have the money, you know? Momentum on the GoFundMe has slowed way down. I do appreciate the couple people who've donated in the last couple weeks, but wow, it's like, I don't want to like close it, but I'm also like, I'm not sure how much more it's going to get at this point, you know? As a leftist, I don't think being a felon should prevent you from running for office per se. But if there is a time you shouldn't be, it's probably when you're awaiting sentencing and trial. Joke of a country, TBH. Yeah. like, obviously the construction of crime means that people get caught and put up for things that I don't agree should even be a crime or whatever. So, like, yeah, just the simple fact of you being a felon probably on its own shouldn't be a disqualifying factor. It's just, the reason why people get all twisted up about that is that it's not just like that he's a felon. It's that like felons can't get a lot of jobs. So it's like, if we have a system where felons can't get a lot of jobs, then why is it that being a felon you can be a president? You know, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, so long as we have the system that we have, it should work in internally consistent ways. And it's just internally inconsistent. See, this is why I didn't want to talk about the title issue until toward the end, because look, we only have 30 viewers right now. Everybody's like, oh, felons can't vote. Okay, listen, felons can vote in a lot of places. A lot of the time, like, I actually think that in the majority of cases, felons can vote. Sometimes felons can't vote while they're incarcerated. Sometimes felons can't vote for a period of time after serving their sentence. Sometimes felons can't vote unless they request that their right to vote be reinstated. But it is not correct as a blanket statement to just say felons can't vote. Felons in many places can vote while they are serving their sentence. So, like, it is an issue in many places, but it's not like a blanket statement. You're just like, no, felons can't vote. Like, okay. Yeah, as a felon, he can't vote in Florida unless he requests the right to be reinstated. Should depend on the crime. Yeah, like, I can see that being a factor. If you commit a political crime, then why are you allowed to run? Versus, like, if you were selling drugs because you couldn't get a regular job. And that's a felony in some places, you know. Carter sold his peanut farm to avoid the chances of that appearing to influence how he governed. This guy is running to kill the DOJ cases against him right now, and like half the country is cool with it. Very nice country we've got. Totally cool system. Yeah. I live in a place that is relatively liberal within Kansas. We've got like a couple of population centers where things are pretty liberal. And then I was at the Renaissance Festival, and it was super weird seeing a bunch of like Trump shirts and people wearing shirts that are like, I'm voting for the felon. It's like, okay. Like, I don't know why you would wear a shirt that says I'm a fucking moron, like, out in public, but you do you, babe. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be rough. Well, since we've lost all of the viewers who are just like, I'm just here for the title issue. What else are we gonna do now that there's only true fans? Now that there's only fans. I'm like supposed to take pictures on Fansly, but it is so difficult to want to take pictures on Fansly. I'm really struggling to lose weight, and I've had like hormonal complications starting my new birth control. I'm like, I just don't want to. It sucks. I'm like, I just want to feel sexy again. I don't. I had some rice. Yummy. Yummy in the tummy. I think we're having breaded fish sticks tonight for dinner. I think that's the plan. Fish sticks. And then I do this thing where I buy 3 chickens and I butcher them all at once. And so I just did that last night. I had some amazing chicken noodle soup. Delicious. You could focus on arms only. Yeah, I could. What do you mean? Wait, why? I'm the reason why I'm struggling with my body right now is because I'm holding a lot of fat in my torso, basically. And I would really like to get into doing cardio, but I have to wait until I'm recovered from COVID, like fully recovered for like 6 weeks. So I'm waiting until like November to start doing cardio. And then hopefully I can start working on that more aggressively. But in the meantime, it's just like, oh, my clothes don't fit. I just had a filthy burger because I was hungover and sad. Listen, burgers are delicious. They're so yummy. Probably like one of the more addictive food items. They got fat, they got sugar, they got protein. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. I'm grinding bosses in Core Keeper right now. The only video game I'm really playing right now is World of Warcraft Classic. My partner and I are playing Classic together, which I could hypothetically do on stream because it's easy enough that I could just be like, well, let me talk to stream while I'm playing the video game. But I think that would narrow me down to a very specific group of watchers. I thought you were playing Dream Daddy. Listen, if I play Dream Daddy, it has to be like, that's the whole point of the stream. I can't get to the end of a stream when my voice is tired and then start playing Dream Daddy. Because it's only talking. It's only talking. That's it. I could try to set up my second webcam. This sounds like how politics streaming got started. Yeah, I mean, basically. I kind of don't mind still talking about politics. I just wish that there were other things that could be equally successful, but... bleh. We have to have some variety. We have to be able to talk about politics and then talk about dumb shit, and like, it's just hard to curate a variety of things. I'm sure before long, like, I'm gonna get into this book, like, I'm reading a philosophy book. I'm gonna finish the book and be like, wow, I have a lot of thoughts about Simone Weil that I need to talk about, and then that'll be an entire stream. I just have to make money. Oh my goodness. Okay. But yeah, like I could set up a camera down here so that I could crochet. And you just have to deal with me doing something quietly. Boo. I'm a ghost. It's Halloween. I'm so scary. Scary ghost. Ooh. You were saying anti-trans laws were related to SUI attempts, and it looks like Skepchick did a video on that. Oh, hey, Rebecca. Rebecca. Yeah, I know Alec Gunter crochets. I've been probably doing it for longer than he has. Okay, let's watch a Rebecca video. That sounds good. Rebecca Watson. Okay, we're gonna watch a video. Rebecca. Okay.
Hey guys, bit of a content warning up top. This video is going to deal with suicide. If that is too much for you, I recommend that you give it a skip. Or you can skip to the timestamp that's on the screen right now, at which point I will be talking about more positive things. So, in the past month, I've heard from many of you who have asked if I can make a video about a recent study in Nature concerning trans care and suicide. And I read the study and it is interesting, but I went back and forth over whether to actually make a video about it. Obviously, you're watching this right now, so you know that.
I know. I've been like, I wrote for Teen Skeptic at one point when I was a teen. Like, she's been around forever. I adore Rebecca.
I did decide to go for it. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about the study, and then I'd like to talk a little bit about what made me waffle about discussing it. So it's called State Level Anti-Transgender Laws Increase Past Year Suicide Attempts Among Transgender and Non-Binary Young People in the USA. And it was published just last month in Nature. As with every video I produce, links to everything I talk about can be found in the transcript, which is available at skeptic.org or at patreon.com/Rebecca. The direct link is in the description box below. Unfortunately, though, that paper is not available to the average person without institutional access. Fortunately, the paper is based upon data collected by the Trevor Project, who has provided the results of their annual surveys over on their website with a lot of different ways to view that data. If you're not aware, the Trevor Project was formed in 1998 because some filmmakers made a short dramedy called Trevor about a 13-year-old boy who's rejected by his peers after he comes out as gay, and so he attempts suicide. The filmmakers wanted to end their movie with a shout out to a resource to help young people who were facing the same problems as Trevor. But there wasn't any, so they made their own by creating a 24-hour LGBTQ plus suicide prevention helpline called...
That's cool. I don't think I knew anything about where the Trevor Project came from, but that's cool. They were like, we need this resource for people to direct people toward, and there isn't one, so we're just going to fucking make it. Like, that's pretty hard.
The Trevor Lifeline. And over the next few decades, they grew into this huge organization that is now employing researchers. They've been putting out reports on their findings for the past few years, and several of those have been published in peer-reviewed journals like this latest one. In line with Trevor Project's whole mission, this new study is about trans youth and suicide. Across their annual surveys, the Trevor Project polled more than 35,000 transgender and non-binary youths between the ages of 13 and 24, asking them questions about whether they had attempted suicide in the past year, whether they had considered suicide in the past year, and if so, how seriously they considered it. They then compared the responses between states that had introduced anti-trans laws that targeted kids, like restricting their medical care or banning them from playing sports, with states that did not have those laws. They found that in the first year after a state introduced anti-trans laws, the number of teens between 13 and 17 attempting suicide jumped significantly compared to other states. In the second...
This is one of those things that's like, duh, could have told you that that was going to happen, but it's nice to see it corroborated. It's like, I recently saw a study connecting an increase in car accidents to post-COVID brain fog and brain damage. And I was like, duh, I could have fucking told you that. Like, I've been on the road for the last 4 years. I drive, like, pretty regularly. I mean, you might not think because I work from home, but I drive pretty regularly. I, like, go to the grocery store once or twice a week, and, you know, I drive, like, not to the closest grocery store and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's like, I could have fucking told you. Like, I know that COVID is related to brain damage and that, like, mood dysregulation causing road rage incidents, like, duh. And then the study came out, and I was like, thank you for telling me with facts and data the thing that I already know. It's like with this, I could have told you that youth suicides would go up, and that's what we were warning about this whole time. And now we have like a corroboration comparing states which enacted these laws versus states which did not, and showing an increase in suicide attempts. There you go. But yeah, we should react to videos more often so that I can rest my voice.
Second year after the introduction of the law, the number of suicide attempts significantly increased for all respondents up to the age of 24. The increase was anywhere from 7 to 72%, depending on the time period and the age of the participants.
Wow.
That would be damning enough, but the researchers took things a step further.
72% is almost double. Like, that's almost twice as many attempts. That's crazy.
By demonstrating not just a correlation between anti-trans laws and suicidality, but direct causality.
Sure.
Often causality can be demonstrated in studies by doing things like a randomized controlled trial, but You can't just randomly assign trans kids to live in various states. So in this case, the researchers controlled for aspects like suicide rates in the years prior to the introduction of these laws, federal policies, and each state's suicide prevention efforts. The results were so clear that one co-author told NBC News, state-level anti-transgender laws caused, so not associated with, not linked to, we can say very confidently, they caused up to a 72% increase in number of past year suicide attempts among trans and non-binary young people, as well as a 49% increase in the percent of trans and non-binary young people who made at least one attempt in the past year. Despite that confidence, there were some limitations to the study. They were comparing surveys between individuals instead of following subjects over those years and seeing how they change. They also didn't consider the different effects different laws might have. For instance, it's possible that fully banning puberty blockers may have more negative effects than setting up roadblocks to accessing them or preventing kids from using their correct gender's bathroom. But as more and more states consider these anti-trans laws, it is important to know the inevitable damage that they will be doing, just as it's important to know that enacting anti-abortion measures leads to more women, fetuses, and babies dying. So why did I hesitate to make this video? Well, for the same reason I hesitate whenever I make a video about the inevitable damage of abortion restrictions, because the people who want these laws do not see this result as a negative. When it comes to lawmakers enacting legislation on abortion, their goal is not to save babies. It's to control and punish women and get a bunch of money from the Christian fundamentalist lobby while they're at it. When it comes to preventing trans and non-binary kids from accessing gender-affirming care, the goal is not to protect kids. It's to control and punish kids who challenge heteronormativity. Imagine a transphobe has a little 3-year-old boy who asks for a Barbie for Christmas. The transphobe spanks him and says she's going to get him a toy gun, and if she ever catches her son playing with dolls in the future, he'll get another spanking. A child psychologist tells her, hey, you're really going to fuck up your son. His mental health is going to be damaged now and in the future. The transphobe will reply, good, because I'd rather have a fucked up son who conforms than a well-adjusted kid who makes the neighbors look at me funny and wonder what's wrong with my family.
Dude, that's so true. That's so true. That like conservatives would rather have a fucked up kid or a dead kid than a well-adjusted queer kid that challenges social norms. That's so true. She's so real for that. Jesus Christ.
We want to be normal, not happy.
Yeah.
There's so much
like conservatives don't care about being happy. They just want to be normal. They just want to be perceived as normal. It doesn't ultimately matter to them. Like, they're miserable. They don't think that happiness is a goal. They will sacrifice their happiness in order to preserve the status quo and the norms.
Psychological research out there showing how humans strive to conform that we'd be here all month if I were to cite it all. But the classic experiment is the Asch paradigm. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch at Swarthmore conducted a series of experiments in which he used peer pressure to get people to answer obvious questions wrong just so that they would fit in. Decades of research since have built upon that, showing that people will choose to fit in even if it means giving up on rewards, like saying they prefer a song they don't actually like and therefore not getting a free album with the song that they do like, just to fit in. We're social animals.
Autistic people could never.
And, that's just the way our brains are wired. If pressed on the issue, very few parents would say that they would rather their child be dead than non-conforming. But I'm sure that they will lie to themselves that the child will be happier once they realize the benefits of fitting in. With that in mind, I am making this video in the hope of, the legislature isn't going to care. The people who don't have any direct experience with trans or non-binary children won't care. But I do hope that the family, the friends, the teachers, the carers of non-conforming kids, I think that they'll care. And I think they need to know that by rejecting those kids or punishing them to try to get them to fit in, they're not helping them. They're actually increasing the chances that that child will die. And with that in mind, I'm going to end on a positive note. Here are some findings from the 2024 Trevor Project survey that I think are applicable. First,
I'm glad that she's going to end this out with 2 minutes of positivity. I appreciate that.
LGBTQ youth who felt high social support from their family reported attempting suicide at less than half the rate of those who felt low or moderate social support. LGBTQ plus young people who reported living in very accepting communities attempted suicide at less than half the rate of those who reported living in very unaccepting communities. LGBTQ plus young people who had access to LGBTQ plus affirming spaces, and transgender and non-binary youth who had access to gender affirming spaces reported lower rates of attempting suicide compared to those who did not. Transgender and non-binary young people who had access to gender-affirming clothing, gender-neutral bathrooms at school, and had their pronouns respected by the people they live with had lower rates of attempting suicide compared to those who did not. Most LGBTQ plus young people who attend school, that's 78%, reported having at least one adult at school who is supportive and affirming of their LGBTQ plus identity. And finally, for allies who want to help, here are 10 ways LGBTQ plus young people reported would make them feel more accepted. Trusting that I know who I am, standing up for me, not supporting politicians that advocate for anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, looking up things about LGBTQ plus identities on their own to better understand, respecting my pronouns, showing support for how I express my gender, asking questions about LGBTQ plus identities to better understand, accepting my partners, showing support on social media, and having or displaying pride flags. So yeah, and don't just not support anti-trans politicians, please actively vote them out if you can. And to all of my trans, non-binary, and otherwise non-conforming viewers, I love you, I support you, please keep being you no matter what.
God bless Rebecca. Yeah. I don't have a ton to add. It's like, yeah, I could have fucking told you that there was going to be a correlation here, but it's cool that they're like, yeah, no, we've actually gone in with the methodology and figured out that there is not only just a correlative link, but a causal link between passing these laws and the direct impact that they're having on children, basically. So cool. Yeah, we should definitely respond to videos more often because I love having an opportunity to rest my voice. 45 viewers, 117 likes. If you want to do any last minute donations, that's cool. We appreciate you. The plan is to go until 4, but I'm kind of reaching the part of the show where I don't have a lot else planned. So let me check and see stream recommendations if there's anything recent in here. Oh, there are a couple things that you posted. Okay, hold on real quick. This was related to the pizza story from earlier. Someone sent this in. Wisconsin restaurant's pizza dough tests positive for THC. Multiple customers sick. Interesting. Why are you sick? Oh, God. So tiny. People who have pizza from Famous Yeti's Pizza should throw the food out because it could be unintentionally contaminated with THC. Interesting. The contaminated pizza was served from October 21 through October 24. Multiple people with similar symptoms all reported eating at Famous Yeti's Pizza. The oil in a container used to make the pizza tested positive for THC. So there was some kind of oil. Famous Yeti's Pizza is in a building that has a shared industrial kitchen where many businesses make food and other products. They're investigating the space, and the owner of Famous Yeti's Pizza is cooperating with the investigation. On Thursday, the pizza restaurant was closed to the public. Interesting. I think that's basically it for the story. It's like, yeah, oops, just dropped my THC into the pizza. Like, what oil? was there that, like, is there a different business that does, well, it's Wisconsin. I don't think they have legal weed there. Do they have legal weed there? It's like there could be a business that shares that kitchen and like they sell a THC product, like, you know, maybe someplace in this kitchen, like they make baked goods with THC in them. Honestly, as far as food contamination goes, this sounds like a dream. Right. It would be confusing. I would probably be confused and upset if I was like, I ate something earlier and now I feel high. Like, what is happening? Yeah, I hate when that happens. I'm assuming a weed bakery used the kitchen or something and didn't clean shit correctly. I mean, I'm assuming that it was like a poorly labeled container or something along those lines. Because I think a lot of the time that, like, THC products, if they're going in food, it's typically because someone processed it into an oil or a butter or something like that. Sick or zooted out of this reality? Question. Yeah. And like, yeah, if you ate food that you thought was normal and then you started having like weed related impacts, and it sort of depends on like how strong was this stuff. Was it served to people who don't usually smoke or like don't usually consume cannabis, which could make like the impact stronger, like especially stuff like the nausea and the anxiety and stuff. Crazy though. That's wild. And then someone else sent in, oh my god, where's my mouse? There it is. This is a story coming out of Oregon. I worry it could have had a bad impact on individuals who are sensitive to THC. Both mental and some physical illnesses can be dramatically affected. Also could be just traumatic to be accidentally drugged. Sure, yeah, no, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm not like, Lamau, those people deserved it or anything. I'm just saying that, like, I can see how that happened. And I think that ultimately it's probably not that big of a deal. Like, I doubt that anybody died. Or, like, sometimes people will go to a hospital because they have a panic attack. But it just probably wasn't as bad as it could have been. I want the number 420, though. Like that, the cocaine pizza from earlier. I want the 420. Okay, so this is a story out of Oregon that a user contributed in the Discord. Measure 118 promises Oregonians more money, but it could come at a cost. No other proposal on this November's ballot has generated the debate or the cash of ballot measure 118. With its pledge to redistribute money that now flows to large companies and put it instead in the hands of Oregonians, the measure offers a simple pitch to a populace smarting from years of high inflation. One statement in the voters' pamphlet attempts to hammer home those selling points in hypnotic fashion, repeating phrases like "pay yourself first," don't leave $1,600 on the table," and "do what's right for your family," 5 times each. Oregon elected officials and the state's most active political groups are a firm no. Businesses have kicked in more than $9 million to defeat the measure. Even liberal labor unions and policy groups that favor taxing big corporations are urging Oregonians to turn down the promised cash. The measure would slap a 3% tax on a business's Oregon sales above $25 million, then divvy up the money raised among Oregon's more than 4 million residents, no matter their age. Why would you not want to do that? Businesses above $25 million can afford a 3% tax, okay? I think you can fucking handle it. To qualify, a person only needs to live in Oregon more than 200 days a year. An analysis by state revenue officials suggests the policy would reap more than $6.5 billion a year, even though it raises taxes on fewer than 2% of businesses. The measure could then send around $1,600 a year to every Oregonian beginning in 2026, either via tax credits or direct payments. That $1,600 estimate is a number you'll hear a lot from Measure 118's backers in the run-up to November, but the truth is it's unclear how much Oregonians would receive each year if the measure passes. That's because the measure could impact Oregonians receiving benefits that are based on economic need. It's possible that yearly checks would reduce or eliminate access to things like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or Medicaid. Why, when we're like, wasn't this, oh God, there have been so many idiot presidential candidates. Who was the guy who was like, I want there to be universal basic income, but I want it to replace food stamps and everything else? Like, why are those things in juxtaposition to each other? Especially when, like, this money is coming straight out of a business tax and then straight into this assistance program. What the fuck? That's so weird. Like, what? On what basis are you saying this could impact these other programs? If that's not part of the policy proposal, then this is just speculation. This is like scaremongering speculation. Andrew Yang, thank you. To remedy that, Measure 118 provides for, quote, hold harmless payments that would recoup Oregonians for the value of any lost benefit. Wait, is that part of the law? Hold on. I need chat back. Come back, chat. An analysis from the state's Legislative Revenue Office suggested that the rebate amount in 2026, the first year it sent out, could range between $1,035 and $1,286. Credits in 2027 could range higher, but even those numbers rely on variables that could shift depending on how the measure is implemented. At its most basic level, the measure would institute a form of universal basic income, a policy that seeks to alleviate poverty by sending citizens regular, no-strings-attached payments. I mean, sure, less than 1 month's rent? Sure, I guess. Oh, this mentions Andrew Yang. If I just read a little bit further, I would have seen it. I mean, this is a cool proposal. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen, but it just seems like a no-brainer that if we implement this on top of food stamps and everything else, like, there's no way that $1,600 a year could replace your food stamps. Especially, I mean, fucking maybe if you're only one person. I don't know, man. And that's annually. That's not like $1,600 a month. That's a year. Honestly, I think everyone should get $2,000 UBI that doesn't count against them on taxes or assistance. Could fund it from defense and taxing corporations and the wealthy. Yeah. I mean, again, $2,000 annually is not that much money, but like, I know when I'm getting my tax return in the past, when I've worked like a regular job and so I'm paying a lot in taxes throughout the year and then I get $2,000 back, or like $1,000 back or whatever, that is, I'm like psyched to get that money. I'm like, yes. So yeah, if you stimmy me once a year for like $2,000, like, bet I'm going to put that money to work. I'm going to spend that shit. This is going to impact only 2% of businesses in the whole state. And could potentially, it's going to like stimulate the economy for sure. I don't know. We'll see if that passes. Could be cool. Like, just move to Oregon and immediately start like getting a basic UBI. Yeah, $1,600 a year could make a huge impact on the lowest earning families. That's like, that could go toward a down payment on a car. That could mean you get medicine. that you couldn't get before. $1,600 could mean you can afford a crib and a car seat for your brand new baby. Like, yeah, that's a lot of money for low income families. I just got a $1,200 budget to buy audio equipment, and I still keep crying as that little changes my career and what I can do. Amen. Yeah, I'm thinking about the possibility of having to get a new camera. I'm probably not going to get a new camera, at least like for a while, but I'm starting to do scripted videos, and this camera I don't think is high enough quality for me to sit down and do a scripted video. Like, it was a little bit blurry when I was trying to do things like zooming in a little bit. I'm like, this is blurrier than I think it should be. So, it's like, yeah, I might have to get a new camera, and $1,600 is like double the cost of a camera that I might buy. Yes, $2,000 legit could change lives, assuming it doesn't get rid of your other help for food and medicine. Yeah, $1,600 a year would absolutely not replace your Medicaid or Medicare, like, for sure. Imagine putting in policies and positions that will actually help people. Imagine. Can you even imagine? That was a little quote from If We Were Gay by Ninja Sex Party. Could you imagine? New Starbomb album just came out. I have not listened to basically any of it. But that's exciting. That's nice. Seeing if there's anything else to cover right now. I think as we move forward, we're only going to be losing more jobs to automation, leaving us with little choice but implementing some form of UBI without putting everyone on the streets. I can see that being the case. Like, we're going to reach a point with automation where, you know, even if there are still, like, for example, you know, you go to the Walmart and there's like 6 self-check payout things, whatever. You might have like one employee standing there keeping track of things and resetting the machines and stuff. So you still have one job, but you have one job when previously there were 12, because there would have been 6 registers and 6 baggers. Or I guess they've kind of stepped away from doing that, but like for a long time, yeah, it was a 2-person job at every till. There was a person at the cash register and a person bagging your groceries. So now we're slimming things down, and there's fewer and fewer jobs. And those are supposed to be the entry-level jobs that anybody can get. So, like, yeah, there's definitely going to be a need to create new jobs or some form of UBI, or make college education free so that people can get a better job, like, that they're qualified for. Like, there has to be some kind of change. I don't need this anymore. Or we're just going to have a lot more homelessness. So I don't know what our society is going to decide to do. I think it's so disappointing. I was watching a video recently in California where they went and, like, they were comparing 2 Taco Bells. And the fact that, like, even the ordering is done on a little screen thing is just, like, I don't know. Like, the human element, it's disappointing to me, I think, because it's so hard to get any kind of socializing done. And part of the socializing that a lot of people do, this is why old people hate self-check, is, I'm pretty sure, because old people get their social interaction when they go run their errands. So if you don't have someone to talk to, It's like we're reducing the social aspect of engaging in your community. While, I mean, so it's not terrible, I think, to reduce the social demand of capitalistic exchanges. This is the concept of emotional labor. The original concept of emotional labor is you having to put on a smile for the customer and you having to listen to the customer tell you about their woes, and you have to still be nice about it, and you can't interrupt them, and you have to like whatever. That's what emotional labor actually originally means. So it's good to reduce that, but if we're not simultaneously increasing the amount of free community works, like, I don't know, like, I was going to say farmer's market. Obviously, that's still a place where you're going to buy things, but it is also like a community event. I've been to a farmer's market recently, and there was live music, and the farmer's market was big enough that there was more than one live music event happening, just like spaced out so that they wouldn't drown each other out. You can talk to people who live nearby, like that type of thing. And you don't have to pay to get in. You can just go walk around the farmer's market and like talk to people. I'm sure they probably want you to buy things because that's what they're there for. But like, I do think we're at a point where I don't think automation is bad. Automation can be good. It frees us up from a lot of labor that we don't want to do, but it does reduce human interaction in a way that I think that we would be sort of suffering as a society if we do not come up with other ways to facilitate social interaction that do not revolve around like buying things or being friends with people you work with or something along those lines. I'm not sure what the answer is. I mean, the answer is radical restructuring of communities to be mutually dependent and not capitalist, but that's like, we're not going to get there overnight. Yeah, the people selling you things at a farmer's market don't always have a boss making them kiss your ass. I mean, I got sucked into a 10-minute conversation with the owner of the vineyard that I was trying to buy a bottle of wine from. Like, you can sit there and have a conversation with a business owner, and that business owner they do have a financial interest in performing emotional labor to make you happy, to keep you interested in their product and stuff. But there's so much alienation that's been removed from that I think is valuable. I think it's a valuable thing to like kind of truncate the alienation part. Like, if I'm talking to a person who works for the owner, then okay, there's alienation. That worker is getting paid an hourly wage. Maybe they're getting commission on sales. So, but it's not like they have a vested interest in the growth of the company. They don't create the product. So they're not like emotionally invested in like, hey, I made this. Like, I made this and I want to share it with you. I want to sell you on the idea that this is a good product. So like, the moment you get a middleman, then there's alienation. But there is something kind of nice about being like, I actually did buy something from them, but I walked past a stall that was like, basically kind of advertised itself as a lesbian-owned farm. And I was like, these two women are clearly the lesbians who own this farm. And I think that there's something valuable in that community connection, that this person grew this food and they packaged it and they're here to sell it to you. And so me as a consumer, I know where my food is coming from. I can ask them questions directly about their process. Yeah, Eric, that's exactly along the lines of what I'm thinking here. Eric says, the butcher I go to will show you pictures and give stories about all the animals you're buying the meat of if you are curious. Dude clearly loves them and wants their lives to be good as they feed us. Yeah, I think for sure I could be like really on board with that kind of thing. Like, I know, like, I went and visited this farm and I got to see the animals, and then I feel good supporting them. And like, I know about the conditions that the animals are raised in and all this. Like, I do think that has value in a community, even if it is still mediated around the concept of buying and selling. And I would love to spend more time brainstorming and workshopping other ways where community members can meet like that in a way that maybe, I mean, this is kind of why I love Renaissance festivals so much, because at a Renaissance festival, like, yes, there's a bunch of shit you can buy. At my Renaissance festival, there's not really any independent food makers, like, in the sense that you can go to a food truck or a food stall or something. Like, it's, so that part kind of sucks a little bit, but there's a lot of stuff that you can buy. A lot of it's handmade. You know, a lot of the time you are talking to the person who is the owner who made it. Sometimes, like, I give people breaks. So, like, obviously I didn't make it, whatever. I can only tell you so much about the product because I am not invested in it in that way. I'm just here to give somebody a bathroom break, whatever. So there is that middleman alienation, but mostly it's people. And then you can have conversations and talk about the product. And a lot of makers have a setup where they are making things like sort of on display. Like there's one glass blowing booth where the maker sits out front with his glass blowing shit and he's doing it live in front. That's like part of the advertisement for the building, is sitting there doing it. And then there's the performance aspect of it, where there's like volunteers and paid performers who you can interact with. They're like telling a story. They're creating an experience. It's very important to a lot of my cast member friends to like create an individualized experience that feels special. And so I'm like, okay, that kind of thing, like, how can we do this more? Not necessarily engaging in the fantasy element of it, although of course that's fun, but like, how can we create more community like events? This is part of why I think public libraries are so important, because public libraries have various events. Like, recently there was an event at, I think it was basically like a Halloween event where after hours teens could come and do an event at the library. It was like a solving a mystery kind of thing. Like having events at the library, or having free classes at the art center or something along those lines. Like, you know, I want to see more opportunities for social engagement in our communities. I don't want to continue living in this capitalist society where you go to work and you hate it and you come home and all you want to do is check out, and you're too tired to speak with anybody, and you're also too tired to cook your own food. Like, I was just watching a video about medieval fast food, basically, and it basically created this image of a medieval, and this, so medieval is pre-Renaissance. So like various food makers would specialize in one thing. So you would maybe go get your beef from this person, like, and it was freshly cooked. So you're like, it's like going to food trucks. You go to the one that sells you the meat, and then you go to a different one that sells you the bread, and then you go to a different one that's selling ale. Like different, I don't know exactly how it would have been set up. It's not exactly like a food truck situation, but something sort of similar to that. Or maybe going into people's houses or selling off their porch or something. But it was very social in that way, where you'd have to go visit several different shops to get your full, complete dinner, you know, assuming that you didn't have the energy or whatever to like make your own food. It may even have been the case that that many people did not make their own food, and that they mostly bought food in the community. But yeah, you like get to know the guy who makes your bread that way. You get to know the person who sells chicken eggs that way. Street food was big in ancient Rome. Yep. Absolutely. Street food has been a big thing since forever, basically. In Rome, through the medieval period. Ooh, that's cool. Eric says, my friend I play Magic the Gathering with is almost 70 years old and helps kids learn French at the library, doing reading-based and theater games with them. It's really cute and gives the parents access to their community too. I genuinely do think as well that we need to have more connection with older people in our communities. Like, some of the most valuable information I've ever gotten has been from old people. I was just thinking about this earlier today. When I was in college basically to learn how to be an electrician. I took an OSHA class, and it wasn't like we were learning our it's not like we were learning like a bunch of OSHA regulations. He more wanted us to come away with an idea of like rethinking safety. So he would tell us horrendous stories about people being harmed in unexpected ways and various stuff like that. And I mean, he said stuff that really has stuck with me as a person who just has a lot of experience. And one of them, and I will give this to you, it's my gift to you. I think it's a profound statement. Never pick up something that you could sweep up, and never sweep up something that you could vacuum. I'll let you mull that one over a bit. It's one of the most profound statements I think I've ever heard. But like, yeah, we as a community need to have access to our elders. And I just mean as a regular broad community, but also it's valuable for things like HIV/AIDS, having access to people who lived through it. There's some stuff that like you just need someone to show you. You know, you could teach yourself the basic skill on YouTube or whatever, but there's like little tricks that you wouldn't know about except that somebody can physically show you. Yeah, and it's good to have good role models. This is why I like the idea of multi-generational families too, is because kids need to have access to history. They need to know what life was like 50 years ago. They need someone to show them a cool trick or a fun skill or a useful skill. I was told something like that by my high school electrician. Yeah, electricians, they know a lot of things. It's harder to understand why misogyny is bad if boys don't learn from someone old enough to understand changes in society have helped. Yeah, I mean, we're disconnected from the fact that women didn't used to be able to open a bank account. Women didn't used to be able to have a credit card. Women couldn't buy a house. And that was not that long ago, guys. It was in the 70s, right? Like the 70s was when women were able to get their own credit card. This is how you end up with an idea of like, oh, well, whatever, things are just good now. You know, whatever. I'm so disconnected from my past that I don't remember when things were bad. That's why you need people who knew what it was like then and can tell you. I do love, there's like a genre of post on Tumblr that's like, what's a good word to describe this? I mean, it's basically like conversations with older women who are kind of secretly letting you in on the fact that they helped their friend kill their husband. Like, because divorce used to not be legal, or it was very difficult to access, and abuse in marriages was not considered a big deal. Rape within marriage was not considered a big deal. So, yeah, like, if you get to know old women, sometimes they'll tell you stories about how they helped disappear their friend's husband. Like, and it's not just like a fun little story. It's like, because she was being abused and he was going to kill her. So, and like, there was no other recourse. My grandma was divorced in the 70s and it was so hard as an unmarried mom. Yeah. Shit's crazy. Ooh, we got 120 likes today. I was not expecting to get that many likes. We reached our donation goal. We got 120 likes. That's good. We've had a lot of interesting conversations today, too. It's so much more tolerable to talk about this politics stuff when I'm like, and I don't have to think about it for several more days. I'm like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be thinking about Captain America, the First Avenger, because I'm going to record a podcast episode about it. And then I think mainly the thing that I'm going to do the next couple days is finish reading this philosophy book that I got and then resume working on my script about The Last of Us. So that's fun. I'm excited. And then I'm going to not think about politics very much. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to be scrambling to figure out what we're talking about. Hell yeah. Yes, I also need to watch it tonight. I gotta figure out like where I have that one. I think the last time I watched Captain America, I rented it on YouTube. I gotta figure out if I have access to it somewhere. Free money. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, do we have any closing remarks? Any final commentary? What if I just name the stream something political and then refuse to talk about it? What if I just do that from now on? No, we had a good time. I enjoy bitching and not feeling like I need to package my commentary in any certain kind of way to make it more palatable or consumable or whatever. What time is it? It's October 27th. Okay. So I guess we have 1 week until the election, basically. Like, obviously everybody goes out and votes on November 5th. The final count won't come in for a couple days, probably. So we have about a week and a half left of active election nonsense, and then things will kind of chill out, or things will ramp up. I mean, again, kind of depends. Maybe we'll start seeing, like, let's watch out for Trump supporters being crazy kind of things going on. I don't know. It's going to be wild. But yeah, we'll continue hammering on whatever issues in a couple weeks. And I'm going to continue thinking and talking about other things in my not stream time. And I think it's going to be good. So, and I already have several ideas for video essays. So I'm kind of like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to move on. It's Halloween week, the most busy week for goths and metalheads. Stay hydrated, my guys. I don't have any reason to celebrate Halloween this year. I'm not going anywhere. I think I might bake something. Like, I might try to do a baked good of some sort. But, like, I don't live in a place where trick-or-treaters come, so there's no reason for me to dress up for that. I'm not going to be on the Transatlantic Call-In show for stupid reasons, so I have no reason to dress up for that either. So anyway, I'm boring. I'm definitely an old boring person. It's one benefit of having a house. Although if I live kind of in the outskirts like I want to live, then I'm still not going to be giving out candy for trick-or-treaters, but whatever. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Glad you're feeling more relaxed. Yeah, oh god, I'm feeling so much more relaxed. I'm like, I have other shit to do, and it doesn't feel like, oh, I absolutely need to put out a video every single day. So that's nice. Yeah, I'll talk about it later. Stupid reasons. Yeah. So yeah, basically, I am planning on seeing you all on Wednesday, and I hope in between now and then that you don't get in trouble. You can do troublesome things, just don't get caught, okay? All right. And I'll have to put something else in the box next week, and we'll have box reveal as our new stream goal. So, yes, much love, everybody. I will see you next time.